Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 110 of Miami Dolphins content. Your boy CT and Bleezy in the building. For those of y'all over on YouTube or Twitch, X, and all that, come on over to YouTube. Smash that like button. Hit the subscribe if you haven't. Uh, Waddle on that notification bell. We're here every Monday at 8:30. We do impromptu shows throughout the week. But yeah, man, we're getting it. Tonight's episode, the Phins begin voluntary workouts. Phase 1 started today. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about. Devontae Smith possibly setting the market for Jalen Waddle. We got a lot of shit going on. The man, the myth, the legend, my boy Bleezy. How are you doing, brother?
What up, CT? Hope all is well, man. Hope everybody had a good weekend. You know, I think everybody's kind of sitting back, ready for the draft. Mock drafts going on all over the place. You know, we'll try not to bore everybody with that too much because that's what everybody's talking about. But we will be talking about the draft.
Yeah, we'll touch on it here and there. Things have changed a little bit. Things are getting a little bit more interesting. The talk about certain players are ramping up. Medical evaluations have been talked about. All kinds of different shit going on. So yeah, man, we'll be getting into a little bit, but as we do, we talk the broader strokes. That's kind of how we do. Then we get into the nitty gritty when we feel like it's appropriate. But yeah, man, let's start again. Today, voluntary workouts started. We got to see Tua out there walking in his fly Adidas thing over there. His let me pull it up, and it's StreamYard's being stupid. There you go. All right, Tua walking into the building today, ready to get that work in. Yeah, man.
Tua, man, he, slim and trim, looks confident. Put that picture back up real quick. Look at him, man. He's got some swagger nowadays, man. Legit. Yeah. Look at him. He's got He's got some swagger nowadays, man. Mm-hmm. Give it up for him.
You got some balls coming in black when it's hot as fuck outside.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I mean, he always wears the hoodie and shit when it's hot as hell, but man, yeah. I don't get that. That's like my oldest son, who's 18 now. Man, he could be wearing jeans and a freaking hoodie when it's freaking 90 degrees outside. I'm like, man, when you get heat stroke, I don't want to hear shit. You know what they're gonna do.
My son is the same way. The middle of the summer, he'll be wearing a hoodie. All the kids do, you know.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, hey, not to be reckless, but you know when you get freaking heat stroke and they shove a freaking ice cold dildo up your ass to cool you off, you gonna start thinking twice about wearing that hoodie outside. But anyway, I digress. Not a lot of shit going on as far as, obviously for those that don't know, phase 1 is voluntary workouts. Most of it is revolved around therapy. If you need any type of physical therapy, if you need to do any rehab, but also they're allowed to do physical conditioning. They're allowed to go work out with the strength and conditioning coaches. They can go, meet with the nutritionists and all that kind of stuff, get their stuff down for the off-season training program. So no on the field work, but nonetheless, it is important getting in there, getting your physical conditioning in, being around the guys, being in the building, be able to speak with your coaches. There's a lot to it, man. There's a lot to it. They can get a lot out of the off-season program, even the voluntary portions, especially when it comes to interacting with new teammates, trying to build chemistry and such. It's definitely a good way for them to begin that process.
How about this little tidbit that came out not long ago? Did you hear about that?
I'm not sure. I don't see the screen, so.
It's Tua. His new quarterback coach is John Beck.
Oh yeah. We've talked about that for a while. Yeah, the company. God, I can't remember it off the top of my head. If I didn't want to say it, I could say it.
Scout
It's Tom
something.
House, John Beck, and another guy. Weird name, dude. Can't ever
Back it
remember his
up.
name. But yes,
What's up,
sir. Back
bro?
it up, building. But yeah, man. It,
Yeah.
we as we've said before, I mean, Tom House is one of the most highly recognized quarterback coaches. Him and John Beck worked together with this other guy, and I can't remember the other guy's name again, but yeah, man, they're one of the premier, quarterback coaching companies that they work with everybody from Tom Brady to Lamar Jackson to Aaron Rodgers. They work with a lot of these guys. So, I mean, hey, whatever they're doing, hey, anything is better than nothing for sure.
Yeah. No, there's some videos. I'm not going to put them up, but they're showing, like his from last year to this year, his mechanics, you know, and they have kind of changed a little bit straight up.
Yeah. I mean, not much. I mean, yeah, they're a little bit faster. The footwork is better. The ability to take hitches and be able to set your feet more quickly instead of having to, try to adjust your whole body to be able to set your feet, plant, and then throw. It does help with, his quick release, his quick decision making ability, his accuracy. So, yeah, man. I mean, the mechanics, you know, it's like I've said so many times, most QB coaches or coaches in general, if somebody has emotion, you really don't want to fuck with it too much. But if
Right,
there are
right, right.
things that you can do within the framework of what they're already doing to help, you know, boost their game or velocity or make things a little bit more mechanically efficient, they'll absolutely take that. But like I said, they're not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Here's a quote from your boy Nick Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
Peep this. Bam. Talking about the mechanics.
Yep.
Said,
It says this will actually allow him to deliver a better ball in those instances. The hip is the trigger. The ball would be out quicker and even on a frozen rope. And I can agree with that. I mean, you translate lower body momentum into core momentum, and then obviously shoulder and arm momentum. So, the hip is absolutely the trigger. Uh, Question is I don't really think that in itself is going to make something on a frozen rope. Um, Either you have the accuracy or you don't, and
right.
you know if you're saying that you're going to increase velocity, that's one thing, but you know, you pair a little bit of increased velocity with his accuracy, and it can absolutely be deadly for sure.
And that's per Nick Hicks, by the way, that quote there.
For sure.
But no, it's all good, man. I think we're all kind of hanging back. It's the off season. We're gonna see what's really going on real soon.
For sure. What is going on, MCJB?
MC, what's
But
up,
yeah,
bro?
man, let's get into this because I thought this was interesting when you were sending me over to it. Devontae
MCJB.
Smith getting paid today, man. First
Yeah,
wide receiver out of that class to get their extension. Is it showing up? No, because that's fucking a
he
ticker.
uh, he just he just set the market for Waddle, right?
Absolutely sorry. I don't know why in the hell. Oh, now it freaking took my ticker off. All right, here you go. All right. So go ahead, man. Let them know how much did he get paid, man?
I don't have it in front of me right now, man. Do you have it in front of you? Hang on.
Yeah, let me. Oh, if you're gonna pull it up, you can pull it up real quick. But yeah,
He just
I
got
was kind
paid.
of.
The fuck?
I just think again, it's interesting that he's gonna be, the first wide receiver. And he gets a 3 year, $75 million extension.
There you go. Right.
So
That's
yeah, man. I mean,
pretty big
25
money.
mil a year. 25 mil a year. Oof.
Yeah. That's pretty big money, man. They got AJ Brown on that roster too. It's 51 million guaranteed. Bam, bam,
Yeah,
bam. But yeah, he Waddle, if you're gonna set the market, Waddle Waddle has performed better than he has. I would say so. I mean, I hadn't looked at the stats. I really don't know for sure. But I would say if I was Waddle's agent, I'd be like, well, we're at least getting that. You know, that's what
absolutely.
that's what I've been talking about Malachi Corley, man. I really think receiver could be an option for us in the draft. Early first, second round pick, just because of shit like this, man. Devontae
Yeah, and
Smith,
I
you know.
I agree. Like we talked about a few episodes ago, when Tyreek Hill's big money kicks in, and then you have to extend, you know, uh, Waddle. We also have Jalen Phillips and Javon Holland. Man, these dudes are going to command money, and
Yeah.
we keep kicking this can down the freaking road, and it's going to
It's
come
hard
back
to
to bite us in the ass.
it's hard to get a good receiver too, man. They are not a dime a dozen. A free agent receiver that's really good. They don't come very often, man. You get a good receiver in the draft. And so I don't know, man. If Brian Thomas Jr. is there at 21, you may want to jump on him. If Malachi Corley is there with our number 2 pick, we should probably jump on him. But we'll see what happens, man.
I agree. I mean, like we've said, one of the things that Chris Greer does not do well is plan for the future. He's a very in the moment
Right.
GM, and I do think that a wide receiver early would be good if it falls out that way. Um, and we're gonna get into a couple of the visits that the Dolphins have had since our last show. Um, and we'll talk about those in a minute. But wide receiver is absolutely one of those positions that need to be addressed, if not simply for the fact of adding a solid third option, but also to be able to develop them into being a leading receiver, post
Right.
Tyreek Hill, and allow us to have continue to have a dynamic pairing in Waddle and whoever it may be.
And Chris
So
Greer, he's known for. I can see him drafting a receiver all day long. I can totally see that happening. And so I don't. If we go that route, I won't have a problem with it. I'll say that.
well, I think the only time I really have a problem with it, and this is getting into the Dolphins draft visits, private visits that have been done over the last week, including 3 offensive tackles, 2 linebackers, and 2 defensive tackles. So, I mean, obviously, O line, linebacker, and D tackle are definitely, linebacker not as much, but D tackle and seeing again, or O tackle, depending on who's there at what pick. Are you going to move back? Are you going to move up? What are you going to do? Are you going to try to get back into the third or fourth rounds using some of next year's draft picks? I don't know. We're going to find out. But I definitely think that with all of these visits, it seems to be that offensive line and defensive line are being one of these main focuses of Greer and the evaluators at this point.
Well said, man. Very well said. You know.
I mean, we haven't really, I mean, I've heard of a couple wide receivers coming in for visits, but not any big ones. So,
Oh shit!
Strat says it's a smoke screen. We're picking a kicker at 21.
Green Rat.
That would be something dumb as fuck that Greer would do for sure.
That's something Green Rat would do. He's probably got his eye on a kicker. He's licking his chops on, man. He's like, that's
must be an Iowa kicker.
Yeah, probably so.
Former Iowa quarterback / kicker.
Bring him in at 21. Let's go.
Oh shit. But yeah, man.
I don't know, man. You know, who knows? Because we're talking about a receiver. Earlier today, I was just thinking about it. I was like, we need to go edge. You know, and if you look at our current edge roster, and I'll bring that up here in a second, but edge would not probably once again Jalen Phillips. He's in that same category as Waddle. He's going to be looking to break the bank next year. And so,
yeah, like I said, I mean, we know a Waddle with that. I mean, you can't pay Tyreek. What is it? 42, I think, is his cap number next year. And if you're going to try to extend Waddle, you know, obviously you would hope that they would do it during the season, you know, or maybe even after, you know, they get the money from Xavier Howard. If they're not going to extend Tua, you got to extend, whether it be Waddle or Jalen Phillips or Javon Holland. You got to start paying some of these guys so that you're not in the same position you were this year and not being able to bring them back.
Right.
Like, you got to do something.
So contracts are about to go down somewhere with somebody, you would think.
You would think. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I get so sick of seeing all this shit. So
that's why Chris Greer gets paid the big bucks. He's got his eye. What MC? MC. He's got his eye on Eichenberg. You talking about Tommy Eichenberg, linebacker out of Ohio State?
Oh shit! Green Rat's always trying to stir up the shit. But yeah, man. I don't think we're gonna go linebacker early. I really think that if they're going to do it, it's kind of a fucking boring pick, knowing that, you know, we have the edges, at least, you know, for a little while. We're going to talk a little bit about the update that Jalen Phillips gave while at the spring game for the Hurricanes this weekend. We are going to talk about that in a little bit. But I just don't really see them going out and drafting a young guy, knowing, unless their clear value is drafting a guy for the sole purpose of moving on from Bradley Chubb,
right,
next year. But even then, from my understanding and talking to a lot of people who are way more into the college, evaluation of these guys, there's only one or two linebackers that really would be deserving of a first round pick, and they're going to be gone way before 21. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Are you going to take another reach like, Greer did on Channing Tindall or what is it? God, the other one. And the fact that I can't even remember his name, Cameron Good, is fucking sad. So Are you going to reach on another, second tier, third tier linebacker like you did a couple years ago? I don't know.
I don't know. There's a couple guys that could be there. Chop Robinson, I think's his name. Jared Verse, the guy from Florida State, could be there at 21. Those are both edge guys that are like hardcore, like Jalen Phillips type status. I don't know. If you look at that depth, man, I mean, that's not. We got Cameron Good as edge number 2, which
But
would
the
probably.
craziest part about that is I don't think that's true in this aspect. Um, Number one, Cameron Good has never played the edge. Cameron Good was a backup inside linebacker, which is why he never saw the field until, 5 different guys got injured. But I think that in reality, you've got the ability, even with both of them being out, you've got Quentin Bell, you've got Barrett. Is that going to hold you through the entire season? Absolutely not. But getting to the Jalen Phillips situation, so out on or at the spring game, Jalen Phillips was on the sidelines and was interviewed. And they asked him how, rehab was going. And, essentially they didn't ask him specifically, when do you think you're going to be back? Essentially, all they asked him was how everything is going. And Jalen said that rehab's going great. He's attacking it every day. And he hopes to be healthy for the season. Now, again, that with no follow-up question to that, it leaves it open to interpretation. And it's something that we've talked about multiple times. We've discussed the situation with Cameron Wake and how his Achilles injury happened. We brought up a couple other guys as far as defensive linemen and or linebackers. We gave 4 or 5 different examples. And saying you're going to be healthy for the season, and the other part of that quote was to stay healthy the entire season. Well, is that his way of saying he thinks he's going to be ready for the start of the season? Well, maybe he thinks that, and whether he is or not,
that's what he's talking about.
I don't know. We don't know, because irregardless, like I've made the point with Cameron Wake, Cameron Wake got injured late in October, and he was back for quote unquote back for the start of the season. However, they only gave him 20 snaps a game for the first 5 weeks of the season. So just because you're healthy, number one, doesn't mean you're in football shape. Number two, it doesn't mean that you're at the top of your physical prowess, that you're back ready to play at a high level. And on top of that, we've already discussed Mike McDaniel's propensity to be overly cautious with these guys.
Yeah, we've seen that.
So, again, I think that as much as people want to read into it, we've explained it ad nauseum. I'm not going through the whole portion again, but if you haven't, go check out the previous episodes right after the injury when we get into it deep. But yeah, I'm still looking at that.
Here's a couple options.
I'm still looking at that September or October, November range for Jalen Phillips.
Possible draft targets. There's a couple of edges for you. I really don't think we're going DT at all. I mean, if we do, you mentioned it a second ago. It's almost like a balancing act, right? CT, you want to draft somebody that's going to help us right now, But also, you got to draft for the future.
But at the same time, though, the question is say you draft a young guy, say you draft an edge. Well, what happens when Jalen Phillips comes back? What happens when Bradley Chubb comes back? Are you going to sit this first round guy you picked and just sit his ass on the bench and make him a rotational player?
It's a backup.
Yeah,
Right.
but like, are you going to take your first round pick, let him play, and then sit his ass down when the other two come back?
Well, it could be a
Because
backup.
then it looks like a wasted pick.
It could, if Jalen Phillips is looking to break the bank, it could be a backup for that deal. But you could say the same thing about Waddle, same thing about Holland. I don't know, man.
But you get what I'm trying to say, though, is are you really going to draft somebody that high? Say Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips come back and they start balling out. Are you going to sit his ass on the bench, make him a rotational player?
Right.
After you had him start however many games to start the year? And then go, hey, bud, thanks for, filling in for us. Good job. Pat on the ass. Now go sit down.
Well, shit happens. Other people are going to get injured. Chubb, Phillips, you never know.
No, I completely agree. I'm just saying in the sentiment of you're going to give the guy essentially, if you draft the high draft pick, the guy comes in, he plays well. No, he's not going to have the experience of Bradley Chubb or Jalen Phillips, but say he gets his feet wet, he's starting to get in the groove of things, and then you're like, all right, bud, go take a seat.
Right.
Now you're stunning his growth.
Yeah,
you stun his growth,
true.
his ability to develop. So I don't know. Like I said earlier, unless they're dead set, say this guy they drop this guy and they're dead set on getting rid of Bradley Chubb anyway. Well, maybe if the guy starts balling out and Bradley Chubb comes back and he's not up to snuff or whatever the case may be, then maybe you trade Bradley Chubb before the trade deadline.
Well, that was my point, man. It's kind of a fine balancing act, right?
Yeah, but you have to have a plan for that. You can't just like, oh, well, like I said, you got to plan this out. You got to know that you already have intent of moving off of Bradley Chubb for you to waste, and I wouldn't say waste, but use a first round draft pick on one of these edge guys, hoping that if he does become a starter or, at least, in the interim, but what if he does start balling out? Are you going to, possibly limit his development by saying, all right, Bradley Chubb's back, go out, Bradley, get out there. Whoever this new dude, whatever, Verse, go sit your ass on the bench. We'll call you when you need you.
Sit your ass down, Verse. Now, I know, defensive tackle, I did a little homework on Johnny Newton, the Illinois defensive tackle. His coach, the head coach from Illinois, said that Johnny Newton is the best defensive tackle he's ever coached in his life. It was a strong statement. And so
it's a strong statement without context because, I mean, if all he's ever done is coach shitty defensive tackles, then that's really not saying much.
Yeah. As I was saying that, I was like, well, it is Illinois. And I don't know, man. His coach could be trying to get him paid. But he did come out and say that. And I was like, damn. He seemed pretty adamant about it. I don't know.
Well, you would hope that his head ball coach would do that for him.
Right.
You would think that coach would do that for everybody.
But he seemed pretty for real about it, man. He had a whole interview. I watched it, and Johnny Newton may be the real deal if we're looking for a defensive tackle. We got a bunch of plug and play guys in there right now. I could see that defensive tackle maybe not being a bad pick either, man. We can go so many different directions with this first pick. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And I still think that, again, possibly trading down and getting a couple more draft picks in that third or fourth round would be also good if the opportunity presents
Trade back.
itself. Green Rat says, put some respect
Yeah.
on Big Ten. Bleezy, don't be talking shit about his teams.
How about that Illinois football?
Almost as good as Iowa football.
Yeah. Let's
But
go.
yeah, man, like I said, I mean, there are a lot of options. And again, we've discussed it, and other people discuss it at nauseum and, all their, you know, uh, mock drafts and all that. And that's great. I kind of ride with it when we get there.
The mock drafts are running rampant right now. Every
Oh,
show,
yeah.
every show's doing a mock draft. I'm like, I mean,
Oh, man.
I'm guilty too. I've done a few mock drafts, but shit, man.
I mean, I don't think I've done one this year, and I probably won't. But it's interesting. I mean, there's even more news. We were talking about, Jackson Johnson Powers, JJP, about
Trending down, I think.
how he was trending down, and how people were talking about his work ethic and all this other stuff, and he got that pre-draft or pre-Senior Bowl hype. But then it comes out he's had a bunch of soft tissue injuries. He has a neck injury. Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. Don't need another Izukama. No thanks.
Sounds like somebody the Dolphins may want to bring in. He's got some soft tissue issues.
He said better than small cocks in South Carolina. There you go.
Shit.
Oh, man. Green Rat likes little dicks. He's talking about little dick Fangio, small cock South Carolinians. He likes small dicks. Anyway.
He's the official shit talker of MDC. He popped up on our Twitter over the week. I put some stuff up about the Masters. He came in there talking some smack like he always does.
Hey, I love it, man. MDC's official shit talker. Everything that comes out of his mouth is shit. So, yeah, man, that's how we do. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, you start getting into the nitty gritty of these guys. They get broken down. You start getting these medical evals after, the combine and all of that, which we discussed. How some of these players, especially, I forgot which quarterback it was. I think it was Caleb Williams, who said he'd only do medicals for three or five teams that might possibly draft him. And this is exactly why. Look at JJP. Like, these teams are out here putting his injury shit out on the freaking internet, blasting him this, that, and the other. It severely affects his stock. It's one thing when teams share this information in between themselves and whatnot, but when it becomes public knowledge, and then you're turning into fan bases want nothing to do with the guy, even if, say, a general manager or their training staff feel comfortable with him. Fans aren't going to be comfortable knowing that all this information about his injury history is out there. Like, it's a dangerous game to play, man, for sure.
Well, speaking of him, there's several offensive line targets that could be there at 21 for us.
Oh, yeah. Like we talked about, I don't think Fontenot is going to be there at all. I think he's going to be one of the top guys. Now, Graham Barton may be there for us. We all know that JPJ is probably going to be available there, but I wouldn't snuff him. Probably, I don't know. I might take a flyer on him in the 5th round if he's still there, but the neck injury issue is definitely concerning for sure. So,
yeah, for JPJ, I don't think we'll go that route. I can definitely see us going Graham Barton. Graham Barton's the one Ennis was talking about last time, right?
Yeah.
Run to the podium. Yeah, and that could be a good call, man. That JT Latham from Bama, I don't know if he's overrated, possibly, but I could see us going tackle once again as a future backup for Armstead or whoever, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
Crazy.
think when we were discussing it, Mims and Barton were really the two biggest names that we're expecting to still be on the board around 21. But again, like we've discussed, if there's, one of these elite wide receivers, these elite prospects, I mean, are you going to take the safe pick in an O lineman? Are you going to go the sexy pick with the wide receiver?
Here,
Fuck.
you like sexy.
I mean, are you going to go with a running back? I don't know. Maybe they finally draft a running back high. I don't like running backs in the first round. I think again, unless they're a generational talent, I'm not going to use a first round pick on a running back. But I don't know. Greer's done some crazy shit over the years, so
Yeah, no, I don't think there's a running back that we're looking for in the first round this year. I think we should go running back late round. Sanders has lost all respect for him. Hope his boys play rec league.
I'm kind
Damn,
of confused.
what you talking about,
He's
Dion?
lost. Yeah, he's lost all. Oh, I think he's saying Green Rat is saying he's lost all respect for him, or Sanders has lost all respect. All respect for who? I'm confused now. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree that his son and what is it,
Dion.
Hunter, Travis Hunter? Yeah, man, this whole Wanda Pola Eli thing and all that,
Yeah,
man.
no, okay, yeah, okay. Now I see what he. Yeah, so Dion came out and said there's only like 5 teams he'll let his kids play for. Right? Is that what? Isn't that what happened?
I don't know. I don't know about an exact number of teams. I just remember him saying something along the lines of, "You could definitely see another Eli Manning situation happening," and yeah, I agree. I think it's at this point you're so fucking spoiled that you think that you're gonna pick and choose what team you get drafted by, and that's just not the way this shit works. And if you're so say your son or this other Travis Henry dude or Hunter dude gets drafted by a team you don't want them to go to. Well, guess what? The team can say fuck you. They can sit out fucking 3 or 4 years and then they can pick whatever team they want to go to then.
It,
So
it worked for Eli. He was able to do it, right?
yeah, and in that instance,
Also,
though,
fucking
the only reason that
40
worked
years
for
ago.
Eli, number one, because of his father and his brother, obviously, and Peyton, but number two, because there was a willing trade partner. The thing is, do you think that other teams are going to be willing to trade for a kid whose father is an obvious distraction and a fucking diva?
True.
Do you really think that GMs are going to want to deal with fucking Deion Sanders bullshit? No.
I I would pass. I'd pass on that all day.
I think Green Rat says these are apparently the 4 teams Eagles, Washington, Dallas, and San Fran.
which
So,
are, which are all teams except for the Eagles that Dion has played for. Dion played for all those teams, and
yeah, and I get
he
that,
played
but in
for
the same
Baltimore, and he
sense,
played for Baltimore at one point.
yeah, but how much of that is, again, 3 out of those 4 teams were playoff contenders last year, including 2 of them. Obviously the Eagles being the number 1 seed in the NFC and San Fran being the number 2 seed. So you think you're going to go, your kids or your son and whatever the fuck Travis Hunter is to him. I mean, I don't know. He just the kid happened to play on a team with the son, and now I don't know. I guess it's his second son. I don't fucking know, but even in that, I mean, you think that they're magically going to go to these good teams, and that's just not the way it works.
Yeah, Green Rat. You know, I know what time it is.
But yeah, man, I just you start getting into this
Prime
diva
time.
role with these players, and it's starting to get fucking old. And then you put into a
I think
situation
Atlanta.
where
I'm sorry. I think Atlanta was on that list too, Green Rat. That he said.
maybe, but he played in Atlanta too, so
I know. I know. I think he said that was one of the teams he would let draft his kid or whatever, man. You know? The fuck?
yeah. But I mean, still, I mean, you're out here trying to dictate what teams you're gonna let draft your kid. Yeah, that's for somebody who's been in the NFL and knows how the game is played. You know that that's not how shit works. So I don't know.
Archie and Eli got away with that shit fucking 25 years ago or whenever that was. That shit ain't gonna happen nowadays. Dion ain't
Yeah,
gonna be calling shots.
yeah. GMs and shit, coaches, they're not gonna want to put up with that bullshit, dude.
Elway did the same shit, right? Remember?
Did he? I don't remember the
Yeah,
Elway.
Green Rat would remember, but Elway did the same shit. He was drafted by who's he drafted by? I think he was drafted by the Colts or something, but he demanded a trade. I don't know. It's out there. Elway definitely did the same shit. And he was labeled a dick for it. A lot of people were calling him out, but in the long run,
It worked out for him.
it worked out for him, just like Eli, you know?
But the thing is here's my thing, and I'm because I really don't give a fuck about Deion. Your son's not your son's trash as a quarterback anyway. It's like, bro, like the only reason these people get away with it is because they're badass quarterbacks.
Yeah, you know, Elway and Eli were number one picks.
Exactly. Your fucking son's not even a fucking third round pick. Stop it. Like, come the fuck on, dude.
He's not even a third round pick. Dion,
Like,
shut your ass up.
And it's like Travis Hunter too, and everybody was talking about how great of a wide receiver and defensive back he is, and it's like, dude, he sucks at both. The only fucking reason that he played well in Colorado is because look at the fucking schools they were playing. Like,
yeah, and they actually got their asses kicked.
Exactly. That's my whole point, though, is not only were they playing inferior teams, but they still got their ass kicked.
They started off really good. But
yeah, when they're playing fucking FBS teams that aren't even fucking real college football teams.
Right.
And then they started playing actual freaking, football teams and we're getting spanked left and right.
Right.
I just think it's ridiculous. I mean, you're cocky, you're overconfident, you think your son is, all that, and he sucks dick. And so does Travis Hunter.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. The bottom line is he's not a first. We're talking. He's not a number one pick. It's a little different story when you are the overall number one pick. No doubt about it. That's a little different deal.
But even then
you can maybe call your shots.
But the thing is, even then, though, if a team doesn't feel like they're getting enough compensation for you, they can make your ass fucking play. And if you refuse to play, then you're going to sit out. Do you really want to sit out? Do you really want to sit out your prime fucking years? No. It's stupid. It's like the Le'Veon Bell bullshit all over again. You're in your fucking prime and you sit out a year, then you come back and you play nowhere near where you were before you fucking sat out the year.
Right.
So it's like shoot yourself in the foot. Whatever you want to do, go for it.
Major mistake.
Yeah, man, I agree. I just think it's kind of fucking egotistical. And at that point, our team's really going to be willing to put up with that bullshit. I highly doubt it. Look, how much bullshit between Tua's dad and fucking Brian Flores, uh, all the bullshit with what's his name? Oh my God. That famous D tackle and his son was having some issues with the team he was on. And his dad was a really famous NFL defensive tackle. And he started blasting the team on social media and shit. And then a week later, the fucking team cut his son just because they didn't want to listen to his bullshit. So it's like you ran your mouth and you cost your son his job.
Yeah. It'll happen. Miko Grimes. Like Miko Grimes. She
absolutely.
She couldn't shut her mouth up, man. She got Brent Grimes ran out of here.
Yep. So be it, man. If that's what people want to do, go for it. But I think it's hurting his son more than it's going to help him. Same thing with Travis Hunter. Just let them fucking play where they get picked. They don't like it. Play the shit out. Pick your team in free agency if you're that good to get an offer for a second contract and go from there.
What? I mean, I know this news just came out, but are they in this draft? They're not even in both of them are?
Yeah. Yes, they are. Yes.
Where are they projected to go?
I don't know. Let me Google that real quick. Because like I said, I don't think either of them are fucking
that's what
higher than a 4th round pick.
So they're coming out this year and he's talking about this, man. Has he lost his who does he think he is?
Yeah.
Who do you think you are, Dion? And I'm a Dion fan. Dion's from Fort Myers, which is where I live. And so I'm a big Dion fan. But who does he think he is?
Yeah, man.
You take that cowboy hat, Dion, and fucking tighten that thing up a little bit, bro. Because his son, if he's a quarterback, he's definitely, if you're not a
no, it's saying that he's gonna go back for one more year. It'll Shador Sanders will be drafted in 2025
next year. Okay, what about Travis Hunter? That's what I was thinking. I thought they were coming out next year. Next year he might be a top round pick. I know I know I haven't heard any talk about him this year. That's why I was like, man, he's definitely not at the top.
Yeah, they're both supposed to be next year. Yeah,
I mean they're making so much money in college right now. Why would they leave? They're making
it's San Fran, Dallas, Washington, Baltimore, or Atlanta are the 5 teams.
There you go. As we have,
so they don't even say the Eagles.
Green Rat.
Yeah, it does say. It says the 6th team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Sanders said the Eagles would be a good fit. So yeah, those 6 apparently. So,
but that's next year.
Yeah, and I ain't worried about it, irregardless. I mean,
right.
Again,
it's just kind of a little strange for Dion to come out trying to call shots like that. This isn't the 90s. He's not Archie Manning. He's not talking about Eli Manning, multiple Super Bowl ring winner.
Yeah.
Ole Miss Rebel.
Please, he had to get the Ole Miss in there. He had to do it. He had to. I agree.
You can't spell elite without Eli. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, shit. There you go. I mean, hey, I give him his props. He fucking bumped off New England on their perfect season, so I'm down with that. I'll give him credit for that. But
hey, CT, A lot of people are giving your South Carolina receiver a lot of props right now. Eli's
Yeah,
a
man.
definition of average. Green Rat.
There you go.
Check yourself, Green Rat. Two Super Bowl rings? Definition of average? Come on, Green Rat. Tighten up.
He said he's a 500 quarterback. Yeah, maybe in the regular season, but in the
He's a
fucking
baller.
playoffs, the dude is money.
He's a gamer. He's a gamer. But what were we just talking about before Green Rat interrupted us?
Xavier Legette.
Oh yeah. So he's starting to get a lot of props right now, man. What's up with him? A lot of people are saying.
I told you guys, I loved him, man. He's got great size. He's got great speed. His problem is again, he's had a lot of soft tissue injuries throughout his career. You know, you also talk about, he's able to climb the ladder. I mean, look, man, you can see him in multiple games. He'll get up there and get the ball. He's got a wide catch. He's really press coverage. I mean, the guy is strong. But again, being a bigger body guy, it's a little bit easier. He runs pretty good fucking routes. I think that, again, when you add in the fact that South Carolina had a trash offensive line this year, the fact that Spencer Rattler, especially under pressure, not a very good quarterback. You gotta, look, man, his diversity as far as his routes is limited. He's great on the comeback routes. He can jump ball, he can run his freaking, his go routes and all that. But he's not, you don't see him running a lot of different route combinations. Most of his snaps are on the go route, on a comeback or a curl route. And now and again, you'll see him run across or across the middle, but you don't see him run a wide variety of things. He's kind of a one-trick pony, at least in my opinion. And there are times where, again, he plays extremely well for you, and either he'll get, a soft tissue injury or he just disappears. And there have been games that I'm like, oh my God, he starts off hot, 2 or 3 catches in the first quarter. You're like, damn, he's going to own this. Then the rest of the game, he doesn't do shit. So, like I said, man, I mean, I just think that there are so many instances.
I don't know why he's trending up. He's getting a lot of talk right now. I don't know.
I don't either, because again, and we've talked about this, and people gave me shit for it. But go back and watch his film. I told you guys I got really upset with him because he's just like we bitched about Waddle and other guys, where he jumps unnecessarily. Like, just run and catch the ball. You don't need to jump and slow yourself down. There are multiple instances where instead of catching the ball with his hands, he'll try to use his body to catch the ball. You'd watch it bounce off his freaking, his shoulder pads, or off his chest. And I think there's a lack of consistency there. There's the physical skills and the ability, and that's why I've kind of, compared him to Devontae Parker, where he has the physical attributes, he has the ability to do it, but he's not consistent. The catching and the jumping for the fucking ball, he's kind of a one-trick pony. He's a go router and a comeback guy.
Does he get yak?
No. Because he jumps for the ball unnecessarily. He'll jump up and catch it, when if he just kept running and caught the ball in stride, he'll run over a guy or two. He'll get you 3 or 4 yards, but it's not he doesn't have the elusiveness that other wide receivers have.
Like Malachi Corley. They call him the king of yak.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think that people get off on watching highlight videos. Not that, unless you're a Gamecock fan, that you're going to watch an entire freaking South Carolina game. But if you watch him in totality and watched every game as I have, yeah, there are times where he's lighting it up. And then there are other times you're just like, meh, okay. And
Sounds like
I'm
Devontae
just
Parker.
this. I fucking use this fucking comparison because it's accurate.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just my opinion. As a Gamecock fan and watching him extensively, look, man, he has a history of friggin' drops, all the frickin', jumping bullshit and bouncing off his chest, and he's got, again, he's a go route. Fucking, they used him on screens here and there.
Yeah,
like I said, like
plus he had Spencer Rattler throwing to him. And
real quick, hold on. So I brought this up. Hold on. I don't know. I've never been to this website. It's bigblueview.com. I don't know what that is, but let's read their scouting report. So his strengths are size, athleticism, play strength, blocking, and versatility. So he has a fantastic blend of size at 6'1", 220, and athleticism with a 4.39, 40-inch vertical. It says, and you can see it on tape. Leggett is able to stretch the field vertically and is also dangerous and run after the catch. The two traits combined allowed him to be the first South Carolina receiver in 20 years to have a game with 275 or more yard touchdowns, which, again, I'll tell you this. Most of those long balls to him is just fucking Rattler throwing the bitch up.
Oh, Mary.
So, I mean, it's not all that impressive, at least for
that size and speed is pretty impressive. You said he's 6'2", 220.
6'1", 220.
6'1", 220. And he ran a 4.39?
Yep, 4.39.
That's
sub 4.4.
That's
but
sick.
Let's get through the rest of it. So it says Leggett has played both out wide as the X receiver as well as in the slot. His size, strength, and quick feet allow him to get off the line of scrimmage efficiently, especially against man coverage. Likewise, his speed allows him to eat up cushions and soft zone coverage. Leggett has enough agility to execute comeback or pivot routes and is surprisingly quick for a big receiver. He needs to work to improve his ball skills, but does a good job of locating and tracking the ball in the air. He also has the requisite body control to adjust and make difficult catches. He flashes the ability to adjust and extend to maximize his catch radius. It also says he's a very good blocker on the perimeter, not just quote unquote for a receiver, but with his size. He blocks well against defensive backs and has solid technique and plays with great toughness to sustain his blocks. Then it says weaknesses: second step quickness, hand size, route diversity. There you go. And consistency over his career. Says Leggett is a great athlete and definitely has an explosive lower body. However, there's a strange hole in his acceleration curve. He has an explosive first step off the line of scrimmage. However, his second and third steps can appear a bit slow before he lengthens his stride and reaches top speed. That can lessen the stress he's able to put on corners and make it easier for them to stay with him in and out of breaks. Leggett has a history of suspect hands and drops, as I've said. He needs to work on improving his ball skills, and it shows on tape that there are instances where he doesn't appear quite sure of his hands. Earlier in 2023, he would jump unnecessarily as the ball approached or as the ball was coming toward him on the sideline. There are multiple instances of him body catching that have created a number of drops. He also ran a relatively simple route tree at South Carolina. For the most part, he was either used on go or post routes and the occasional screen or out route. Leggett has the ability to execute sharp breaks, but isn't a true technician as a wide receiver. He rounds off his routes when attempting to carry speed through breaks and doesn't show much savvy as a route runner. His prior issues with drops can reoccur if he starts thinking too much while running his routes. Projection, Xavier Leggett projects as a rotational wide receiver with scheme diversity and the potential to develop into a starter before the end of his rookie contract. So pretty much fucking everything I said, except they said it fucking, I guess more elegantly.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I see why his stock is trending up, man. He's 6'1", 220. He runs that fast. That's what people are looking at in the draft. But you've seen the real deal, and you know what he's all about.
And Ennis is over here, and Ennis, the man, the myth, the legend, get your ass up here. He said all that can be fixed by Wes Welker, and
Ennis.
I don't know about that, but we'll see.
Oh shit! So he might like Leggett. It sounds like I don't see us going Leggett. I don't see it happening.
I like him. I liked him, but again, like I said, there are just times where he disappeared for us, and having those soft tissue injuries again. He didn't miss ridiculous amounts of time, but it's the him and I can't remember the other guy now. We had our running back that got injured the last 2 years in a row too, and it's like you get to that point of a season and it happens, man. But he said every receiver has a flaw except Marvin Harrison. Yeah, man, I could absolutely agree with that. I mean, he's got flaws and everybody does. It's more so for me. I don't want a repeat of Devontae Parker, and I know that skews my opinion to a degree, but I've also watched him more than fucking most people out here, and I get the fucking Devontae Parker vibe from him. That's all. That's just my opinion.
6'1", 220, 4.39. That's pretty strong, man. I don't know. Yeah. That's why he's trending up. I don't think we'll go receiver with our second round pick. I mean, maybe we will, but I don't see it happening, man. We need too much other shit. Just like we've been talking about. Safety, edge, offense, guard.
Yeah, man. I don't think that we're going to go safety this year. I think that if anything, we might pick up a late round guy, but it's the same way I feel about linebacker. I think they feel like they've brought enough in to not have to use one of our high draft picks to try to fill one of those slots. But again, it should be best player available, but you couldn't have watched Parker at Louisville to say that's the same, but okay. No, I'm talking about watching Parker in the NFL and again, watching Leggett every fucking time we play and he played. Like I said, there are a lot of freaking similarities and that's my concern.
Yeah,
So,
Parker balled out in college, man. He was a beast.
and it's like we've said though, a lot of that is, these guys are physically talented in college. Then you come to the NFL, and these cornerbacks, it was some of the things that Sanders has talked about, even Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain when he was here last year, and he was talking about how the young cornerbacks, they not only do you have to learn the scheme, but you learn the tricks of the trade, the little, oh, I'm going to pull his jersey, but I'm going to do it in a way that my hand is on my stomach, and as he's trying to pass me, I give a quick grab, not a tug, but I grab the jersey, but I don't pull on it. I just grab it enough to try to slow them down. And when wide receivers aren't used to that because they don't do that in college, now you got an experienced guy who knows these little tricks and tips to knock you off your game. And until you become a savvy veteran as a wide receiver, just like these savvy, veteran cornerbacks, you got to learn, okay, well, they're going to start doing this shit, and I'm not used to them doing this shit. So now you got to learn how to counteract that.
Yeah.
You'll
get your ass kicked as a rookie if you're not ready, or really in general, in the NFL. There's a grown ass man out there.
Yeah. And I think that, again, there's such a discrepancy in the talent among fucking college teams, let alone college to the NFL, that these guys think they're great in college until, again, you're playing one of the top 1,600 NFL players or football players in the world. Like, I've given this stat so many times. Literally between, 5 to 6 million kids from rec league, high school, college, and arena football, all of this. There's 5 to 6 million people who play football every year. And you literally have 1,600, and that obviously gets cut down even less. But when teams are at 90-man rosters, it's 1,600 of the best players in the world. It's a different ballgame.
The best of the best.
And yeah, you're right. You can say that for every position. However, cornerbacks and wide receivers versus, say, a lineman are two completely different things. And again, like we talked about, it's really not difficult for a lineman to learn their scheme and their position. There's only so many things you can ask a lineman to do. But if you ask a lineman to learn, not that they could physically do it per se, but to learn routes, to learn plays, to learn timing, to learn how to defend savvy veteran bullshit. Like, there's a lot more on the plate of a rookie wide receiver or a rookie cornerback than there is a rookie lineman, whether it be offense or defensive lineman. I mean, each position has their challenges, but wide receiver and cornerback are pretty fucking difficult, along with quarterback. But there's a lot of shit going on that.
That's another position that we could another route we could go, possibly first round corner, or second round. I don't know. You got Jalen Ramsey. How long is he going to be around? And we got a 1 or 2 year deal on Fuller. Corner may not be a bad call.
Yeah, I agree. Ennis, I agree that no, it's not the strength. I mean, to be honest, I get so sick of people trying to say, oh, it's not a man body this, a man body that. look, if these linemen would put the work in when they're in college to improve themselves instead of essentially using college strength and conditioning coaches who it's not like the NFL where you have maybe 70, 75 guys on a team, 90 at the most during, off season, where you have a college football team with 300 kids on it. So if you think that players in college are getting individualized workout plans, you're out of your fucking mind. The reason that quote unquote guys get their man strength in the NFL is they get more individualized attention to their workouts and they have the ability to make gains that aren't necessarily catered toward them, not catered toward a group of individuals. So you can have somebody, if they took the time and did things right and they had the right training and the right access to the right type of people, they could have their man strength before they come out of college. So I don't know, man. Like I said, what do you say? A simple offense, and then how do you prepare for playing 6 more games? To be honest, that's a simple thing. If you really think that 6 more games in a season is a indicator of someone's strength, that's not an issue. It's endurance. And in that endurance, as well as their ability to recover, and that in itself can be done through nutrition and understanding rehab and recovery, where again, I worked on it for multiple college teams in athletic training, doing rehab, doing nutritional evals, doing all of these things. And I hate to say it, but again, there are so many athletes, especially for colleges, where you don't have an athletic training staff for each individual sport. You have an athletic training staff that deals with all of the sports. And when you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of athletes, the individualized care, the individual, workout, nutritional evals, they're not the same thing as when you go to a professional football team. So, yep, exactly. I agree. And I can understand that. But in that aspect, he's not going out and working out for teams. Yeah, because he wants them to rest and be ready for the season. But that doesn't mean that he's out there working out as far as building strength, working on his
out. Right.
Yeah, he's not working out for teams, but he's still going out there and working out and working on his body. He's doing, because they were talking about he was still going to be doing football-oriented activities. So again, he's going to be training to become a professional football player. He's not just going to go out there and do the 40 and the cone drill and the broad jump and shit like that. He ain't worried about none of that.
No need. He's a top what 5 pick? He's going to go top 5 probably. They're talking about maybe Arizona,
5, top 7,
Chargers, Giants, maybe Tennessee. We'll see.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I think that again, it really comes down to, it's also a maturity thing. Part of that is understanding that a lot of these college players, they do the bare minimum in the off season. And when you understand how physiology works, you're not trying to make strength gains or speed gains or agility gains in season. It's just too much on the body. It's the off season that these players are supposed to be doing these performance enhancing programs so that during the real season, you're not taxing your body. During the season, you work out to maintain muscle mass. You're not trying to gain muscle mass. You're not trying to gain strength. You're just there to maintain. Now, during the the summer in college, a lot of these players, they're too busy partying or going on vacation and doing this, which again, they do that in the NFL too. But it's more of most players when they get to the NFL, they start to realize that this is not a 9 to 5 job. This is something you have to put your whole life into and be dedicated toward. And that's kind of how I feel about this situation. Oh, the man, the myth, the legend, Amicus in the building. What is going on, brother?
What's going on, my guys? How are you doing tonight?
What's up, man?
Man.
What's happening, man?
Just watching a little Atlanta Braves. You know, my Braves are starting the season off pretty well at 9-5. I'm sorry to hear that your Marlins are not.
Whoa.
Oh, you didn't even know they were 3-12, did you?
No, I know.
I don't watch the Marlins, so I don't watch baseball. So
I knew they started off cold, man, but they won like 2 or 3. Recently.
Well, they actually beat the Braves the other night, so I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, the shitty team beats the Braves.
Yeah, but we're still 9-5 and first in the division. So, anyhow, what's up, man? What y'all doing?
Man, just talking shit. Me and it has been going back and forth for a little bit. We've been talking draft. We talked a little bit about Deion Sanders being one cocky son of a bitch, thinking that his son is going to be the next Eli Manning. And what else did we talk about, Bleezy? Xavier Legette. Everybody continues to fucking hound on me about I compare him to Devontae Parker. You're a fucking Gamecock fan too, so what do you think about Legette?
Well, I think for only being 6'1", 220, I mean that's a big boy, right? He doesn't really have the height as some of those other receivers at 6'3" or 6'4", but 220 is 6'1". That's he's strong. And for only being 6'1", man, he really is good at 50-50 balls, isn't he? Like he gets up and he'll go up and get it.
Who you talking about, Legette?
Yeah. Remember, he's a South Carolina fan too. He lives in South Carolina, so
yeah,
to another perspective because, go ahead.
And, so and then he's fast. You know, he's got speed. So he's got the body, he's got the speed, and I think he's in. You know, he gets a lot of flack because he didn't really show out until last year. You know, and he also
jumping unnecessarily.
But he had Spencer Rattler throwing him the fucking ball, and I am not a fan of Spencer Rattler.
Did I not say the same thing, Bleezy? Did I not say the same?
Bro, Spencer Rattler is like they're looking at like a 3rd round draft grade on him. I wouldn't put him on the fucking practice squad.
How overrated can you be?
Highly overrated.
Did I not say the same thing, Bleezy, when you guys asked me about fucking Rattler? And I said, I don't even think he'll make a practice squad. He might get on the practice squad on a needy team. He might. But, bro, he's going to be a camp body, and that's it. He'll be lucky if he gets tacked on to a practice squad.
And he's projected to go in the 3rd round.
It's so crazy.
Good luck. And you know who's supposed to take him? I think many people have him projected to the Broncos. Of course, they need a quarterback now, but talking about a desperate team, like, go ahead, man. Good luck. You will see. Spencer Rattler will not make it. He will not make it. So back to Legette. Because of that dynamic of who he had as a quarterback, I just don't think you saw his full potential. And I think Legette, I'm afraid that the Chiefs are going to take him at 32 or 31, 32, wherever they are. But 32, I guess. And I hope that's not the case because I think a lot of people have Legette as a first round grade. Some people have him as a 3rd round grade, but I think he's going to shock a lot of people. I'm high on Legette. Legette's going to be a pro.
I think he's going to be there. My concern is you being a Bills fan, you know what we went through with Devontae Parker, right? Yeah. Another guy who He tries to body catch, a lot of drops. Leggett does the same thing, soft tissue injuries. Leggett didn't miss any major time, but he'd missed 2 or 3 games here, 2 or 3 games here, a game or 2 here. And then again, there were other times, and I was talking earlier with Bleezy, and I can't remember which game it was now, but it was early in the season this year, and he had 3 explosive catches there in the first quarter, and I'm like, fuck yeah, he's going to go off today. And then he disappeared the rest of the fucking game.
Yeah, but again, who's this fucking quarterback?
Yeah, and we had that conversation because you and I both know our fucking offensive line looked like the Dolphins' offensive line of the last few years, and they were absolutely fucking terrible this year. And then you got Rattler, who gets fucking spooked at his own shadow, and then he's running for his fucking life and throwing up stupid interceptions. But I agree with all of that. I get that. But my thing is I don't like the soft tissue injury thing, and I don't like the drop thing. He's a great go route guy. He's a great 50-50 guy, like you said, and he's great on the comeback and curl routes. He knows how to use his size. He knows how to shield the ball from the defender. He's good at those things, but then there are other things where, again, trying to body catch, he gets, there were times in multiple games where he dropped 1 or 2 and he just couldn't get his head back in the game. And I don't know again after we already did that shit with Devontae Parker.
He has the intangibles and the size and everything. I mean, 6'1", 220, man. He's got a man's body already. You know what I mean? And he's got an NFL body already, and he's still in college. So here's the thing. I think, for a team that needs a couple of wide receivers like the Bills do, this is a great draft, right? Because we're gonna take a wide receiver with the first pick. That's guaranteed. But man, it really bothers me that the Chiefs are gonna be there at 32, and there's 15 wide receivers in this draft that's better than the guy that's about to pay $10 million because he doesn't know how to drive a Ferrari. I mean, that's scary. They just won the fucking Super Bowl. And they're about to get another wide receiver that's better than their best wide receiver, Rashee Rice.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother ball game on that one. We ain't going to touch
Well, I'm just saying, the point I'm trying to make is that you put a guy like Xavier Leggett with a Mahomes or an Allen, he's going to shine. He's going to shine.
Yeah.
See if he's not on the field with soft tissue injuries like Parker.
That came up. You're right, CT. That started coming up in the past couple of days about his injury history. Nobody even heard about this injury history. Now all of a sudden it's a thing.
Bro, I've been talking about it for fucking months. I've been saying this shit for months, but nobody wants to listen to me. Like, bro, it's not that it's anything serious. It's just 2 or 3 games here, 1 or 2 games here, and then it happened to be last year when we were doing extremely well. We were heading into a 2 difficult game series. We had North Carolina, and then I believe the next weekend, I don't remember who it was. It was North Carolina, and then the next weekend. And we were shocked to find out in the middle of the week before North Carolina he wasn't going to play because of a hamstring injury. And they're like, but he'll be back next week. Well, then next week rolls around, and he's still not fucking playing. And I'm like, that's fucking Devontae Parker 2.0.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. Give me 1 second while I pack a bowl of this fine tobacco called Maltese Falcon. 1 moment, please.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. But yeah, but Bleezy, it was the same thing later on in the year. Then he comes back and he plays 2 or 3 games, and then he gets a calf injury, and then he's out another 1 or 2 games.
Yeah. You have been saying for the past couple of months, you were like, the guy's good, but no, he's not worth the first or second round pick. You've been saying that.
I would absolutely take a flyer on him in the 3rd, 4th round, but we don't have a 3rd or 4th round pick.
Right.
Oh, he'll be way gone before that. Way gone.
Yeah, he'll be way gone.
He
No,
might
and
get in the first to the Chiefs.
I wouldn't do it. That doesn't mean that other teams would. I just wouldn't.
Right.
But that's because, again, you and I, as Gamecock fans, we watch this shit. Everybody gets hard-ons for fucking watching guys' highlight tapes. And it's like, well, if you watched it in totality, yeah, there are some major concerns there. Does that mean that he doesn't have prototypical size, speed, all the intangibles like you said and I've said multiple times? No, he has all the physical traits. The problem is some of these guys, whether it's soft tissue injuries or it's Spencer Rattler sucks or whatever the case may be, there are things that hold them back. And do they allow those issues, just like the drop situation of, he'll drop a couple and then it'll ruin the rest of the game. He'll be in his own head. Like, if you can't solve those things and figure those out, I don't want to be the one to have to fucking suffer through that shit until you figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing when it comes to evaluating talent, right? Is all the variables, and he didn't have a good quarterback, right? But he does have those physical traits, and that NFL coaches are going to say, just give me the traits and I'll turn him into a beast.
Yeah, they look at the numbers and they're like, oh shit, 6'1", 220, 439.
Yeah, but we've also had those same arguments though about Austin Jackson. And yeah, okay, Austin Jackson had one good year, but it also took him 4 fucking years to put it together. So it's when you try to battle the mental side for young players, it becomes a much more difficult. Now, everybody says, oh, you can't teach no dadu tricks. Veterans are much more likely to have the mental aspect down, and then you can teach them physically. All right, I want you to do this. I want you to change your technique to this. And they'll be much more receptive in that aspect. But if you're trying to fix mental issues, that's a lot more difficult than fixing physical things.
So, Ambicus, who do you think you guys are taking at 28? You said receiver for sure. Which one?
Yeah. Well, Von Miller. Hold on, what the hell is that on the phone? Oh. Von Miller apparently tweeted something or some social media platform, but he did some AI production with Brandon Beane. Did y'all see that? The AI of Brandon Beane walking out on the stage at the draft, dancing and shit.
Oh yeah. I did see that.
Yeah. So he, Brandon Beane actually mentors Von Miller. Von Miller wants to be a GM when his career is over. So check this out, because y'all may not know this. You probably knew that, but he's in the room a lot with Brandon Beane, and he picks his brain a lot, right? So I'm sure there's obviously, when it comes to the business of it, there's certain things that Beane's not going to tell a player like Von Miller, right? But I find it interesting that he brings this AI thing, saying that Beane's going to move up in the draft to get a wide receiver. Because why would you say that when the whole world knows that you're being mentored by Beane? Meaning, you know what I mean? Like, you're putting that out there so people know that you and Beane talk. Beane's teaching you the GM game, right? The business, right. and the overall optics of it is that you might have some inside information, and if you really did, you wouldn't put that out there, would you? Because that's going to hurt the team, unless you want people to think that you're doing that, because the Bills might not be moving up. And so it might be a lot of smoke and mirror shit going on right now, or Von Miller's a fucking idiot. I don't know which one it is.
Well, we also know, we reported it, and you were on the show when we talked about it, when when they did the what was it? It wasn't the owners meeting, during the owners meeting, and they specifically asked Brandon Bean about moving up, and he, the dance around speak, but essentially he said, yes, we're moving up. He didn't say, yes, we're moving up, but you know what I mean. Like the whole, we have plenty of assets this year and next year, blah blah blah. Like he tells you he's moving up without telling you he's moving up.
I just find it interesting because, I mean, the thing is we lost Gabe Davis, right? And we traded Stephon Diggs. So we clearly have a need for two wide receivers. And this is a very, very deep wide receiver draft. So, I'm not saying you have to go first, second round wide receiver, but you probably have to go first and third. And you definitely are going first. So it's really what the Bills and Brandon Bean value as far as their board. I'm assuming they have Marvin Harrison, Odunze, and Neighbors 1, 2, 3. Well, those guys are going to go top 8, top 9, top 10 latest. Yeah, right. So unless you plan on packaging, a lot of 5th, 6th, next year 2nd, and maybe the 1st to move up in the top 10, that's a pipe dream, right? You could do it, but I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. Now,
I agree with that, but say.
Hello?
Yo.
Did we lose him?
We lost him.
Holy shit. The only thing that can stop CT from talking. Technology.
It was my township game, actually. But no, I was saying that if you give a 4th and a 5th up, combination of this year and or next year, whatever, if you can move from 28 to say 20, you still give yourself a shot at one of those top guys if one of them happens to fall.
Well, no, hold on. Yeah. Well, they're not going to fall, first off. You would have to get in the top 10 to do that. So my point is that unless because those top 3 are surefire, as far as we know, right? This is just, we can only see what we see on tape, right? So based on that evidence, they're surefire WR1, plug and play, day one, wide receiver 1, your go-to guy.
With 10 though, because at a minimum, you got 3 quarterbacks going in the top 3. Okay, you have 2 offensive tackles and 2 defensive linemen going in the top 10. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. That's 10 right there.
That's bro. This has already been eviscerated and analyzed. Like, they're gone in the top 10. Marvin Harrison's going to Atlanta at number 4.
Level.
Yeah.
After that, then you have Brian Thomas.
Right. So the Giants are going to take Neighbors, and then you got Odunze going to like the Chargers or some shit, right? It's going to happen. But my point is that if you want to mortgage the farm for a surefire Pro Bowler, you go do that, okay? But here's the point I'm trying to get to. You're not doing that to replace Diggs, because you know who Greg Cosell is, right? Yeah. Senior NFL analyst, 50 years in the business, super respected in the NFL by all GMs, teams, analysts, whatever. He's a legend. He is on record as of a week ago saying that everybody thinks Diggs is a number 1, but he's not. He's not a number 1. And I was like, whoa, I was blown away by this, because everybody has Diggs in like the top 5, or most people have him as a top 5 wide receiver, but he broke down why Diggs is not a true number 1, like a Devontae Adams or like a Justin Jefferson or like even a Tyreek Hill, Yeah. So when you look at it that way, man, we got a fucking second. Like, this is great, because he was overvalued to begin with. So if you go and get a guy like that, in the first top 3 wide receiver in this year's draft, you're getting somebody day one better than Diggs. I'm just going to tell you right now, day one. But if you're looking to replace Diggs, you can get him with Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU or AD Adane out of Texas. And you can get those guys in the range of 15 to 28.
So you would want to, if you want to go top level, you're going to need to move in to a top 7 pick.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And that'd be ballsy as fuck if y'all did that. But if
but you're talking a Justin Jefferson type. All three of those guys are at that level.
Right.
Yeah.
See, but I'm looking at it right now. I mean, y'all are saying, see, I don't understand where y'all are getting that from. Maybe you guys know something I don't fucking know, but I'm looking at it right now. Even the projections of the top 5 wide receivers and those top 3, the Malik Neighbors, they have going at 11.
Yeah, well, what are you reading from? Because stop reading that and don't ever read it again.
I'm on Pro Football Network.
Yeah, Neighbors is going to go. Neighbors might go before Marvin Harrison, bro. That's how badass that guy is.
Where are you going? Are you going on? Are you on the draft board? On the Pro Football Network's draft board?
Yeah.
Well, I'm send me the link that you're looking at because
what I did, I ran a mock draft, and I'm looking at the results of the mock draft.
Okay. Yeah, all your mock drafts are going to have all 3 of those guys going top 10, but fuck that draft because that's simulation and algorithms and who knows how that shit works. But every fucking analyst worth their salt when it comes to draft, I mean, I'm talking like the best draft experts in the world, they all have those 3 guys going in the top 10. So it's a consensus. It's not even debatable. The debate... The true debate is where Smith and Adane are going to go.
Because I've got right.
But here's the thing: after Smith and Adane Mitchell, then you have your Xavier Worthy. You have your who's that kid out of Troy? Or not out of Troy, but Troy. What's that fucking thing?
Because I've got mine. All right, go ahead. I got that one. Nope. So, all right. I did the same thing on theirs, and I'm getting completely different from yours.
Yeah, look right here, bro. Look what you got.
Oh, I know. And I'm taking a screenshot of this one, too. It's got Harrison going 4, Malik Neighbors going 5. Then the next one,
Dunze.
Agudze going at number 11 to the Vikings.
No, what I'm looking at right now on the screen is Neighbors 4, Harrison 5, Adunze 6.
Right.
See, that's where I'm trying to say, though. Everybody, just because they're saying it, fuck, I just did another one, and Adunze goes 8 to Atlanta. So, again, I don't know. My whole point is you can fucking do all the mocks you want. It doesn't.
Yeah, but I'm not getting this off of a mock simulator. I'm getting this off of real draft analysts, like 3 months of draft analysts. And yeah. So I mean, it's a foregone conclusion, bro. Adunze, Neighbors, and Harrison Jr. are elite wide receiver talents. They're in tier 1 of this draft, and they're all projected Pro Bowlers. They're your Justin Jeffersons of the draft. So
they got us going fucking OT too. Yours has us drafting Guyton. The other one has us doing JC. What's his name?
Latham. OT from Alabama.
Yeah, like then the next one, Fontenot is gone 3 fucking picks before us. Yeah, you've got 4 picks before us. Damn,
that's crazy. They got the Bills with Keon Coleman. How would you like that?
Well, Keon Coleman, I have it as a top 10. Top 10, top 12, but no, not for number 28. So you have Brian Thomas Jr., 4th ranked, Adonai Mitchell, 5th rank, and then you get into your Ladd McConkey out of Georgia, your Troy Franklins out of Oregon, Ricky Pearsall out of Florida.
But then they have the Vikings picking fucking Brian Robinson Jr. Damn. Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah. That's crazy. It's like I said, the other one had the Azunye guy going at number 11. So I don't know. Like I said, it is what it is. I don't fucking know. I don't care. That's why I don't do mock drafts and shit.
Well, I mean, I care because here's what I want to do. I don't think we should mortgage everything and go up and get one of those top 3 because, like I said, if we're replacing Diggs is worse than those 3, right? So all we need is a Mitchell, Adonai Mitchell, or Brian Thomas Jr. So move up to guarantee one of those, or if it falls to you, then that's great. And then I would move up in the second round and try to get like a fucking Leggett or McConkey or a Troy.
Really?
Yes, because bro,
receiver.
Absolutely, man, and then light the fucking league up.
You're crazy.
Yes.
You're crazy for that one, Am.
No, bro. Give Josh Allen those weapons along with that tight end.
You need to. I was saying it earlier, man. If you want a receiver, you get a good receiver in the draft because free agent receivers are hard to come by, man. Good ones,
and they cost too much.
And they're looking to.
I was going to say the only ones that are worth it that do become available, you have to pay out the ass for.
Right.
They're looking to break the bank, so you draft a receiver.
Yeah, exactly. And Bean did the right thing by moving Diggs. He did the right thing. It's going to save us a lot of money next year. And he's a locker room problem. And, it is what it is.
Gotta love the divas. Gotta love them.
Yeah, well, the whole thing was
him and Josh weren't getting along.
Well, I mean, he liked the comment and then replied to some fucking guy that said, are you sure about that? Meaning I'm the reason Josh Allen is at the level he's at right now. That's fucking ludicrous. Bro, Greg Rosell said you're not even a WR1. What the fuck? Get your ass out of here and go to Houston.
And you saw where Houston.
Well, maybe if he had a good quarterback, like that guy down there in Houston, you never know. Diggs may blossom.
Houston is smart because they only signed him to a 1-year deal. So if he goes down there and acts like a little bitch, they can cut his nuts and be done with him. They're gambling for 1 year, so they know about him. That was a good move on their part.
Yeah, and plus they have a couple of big contracts coming up. Will Anderson Jr., they're going to have to give him a lot of money. He's on a rookie contract right now. And then, of course, C.J. Stroud. He's going to get paid in a couple of years or a few years too. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. But I wanted your opinion real quick, Amicus. Irvin in the building. Let's go. I wanted your opinion on this, man. We've been fucking bitching about this since earlier. I am so sick of these fucking entitled little bitches. But you heard about Deion Sanders saying he's going to let Travis Hunter and his son only play for the Eagles, 49ers, Cowboys, Commanders, Ravens, or Falcons.
No, this is news to me, but why would the Commanders be in that?
What's up, boys?
I have no idea what's going on, Spidey. I don't know why he wants to put Washington in there either, but it's like I was saying earlier. You think that 4 out of these 5 teams are playoff contenders. 3 of them were obviously with the Eagles, ranked 1 in the NFC and 49ers 2. And then you want to have the Ravens that were ranked number 1 in the AFC. You think your fucking son's gonna go to a Super Bowl contender right off the fucking bat? And if
I
they
know.
don't,
I
you're
know
gonna
why the
bitch.
Commanders. I know why the
Oh,
Commanders are on
I'm
that list.
sorry, but who's Travis Hunter?
yeah, exactly, Irving. Exactly. That's my point. You really don't know who Travis Hunter is?
No, I really do not know. Like,
He's
genuinely.
the wide receiver / cornerback. He plays both ways for
Yeah.
Colorado. He's
He's
one of the guys that John brought with him.
Yeah. I used to like him. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
said
he's
though,
a two-way
He
player.
had a huge game. He had a
Kaiser-
huge game in his first game.
yeah, but again, they got
here's
their
the
asses
thing. He won't
some
be a two-way
shit.
player in the NFL.
No, he won't.
Exactly.
Because the moment Debo, they tried to move Debo and let him play a little running back, what did Debo do? Oh, no, you got to pay me for both positions. So once, people that say they want to play both positions until they do, and then they want double the money, and teams are like, no, fuck that. You're not getting double the money. So it never works.
Hold on. Can I answer this? Can I
Yeah.
get in on this? Go ahead.
Yeah,
land.
Just want to land real quick with this part, though. The problem is, though, Amicus is he's not talented enough to play both positions in the NFL. It's cute when you do it in college.
Right.
But you're not going to do that in the NFL. Go, Spidey.
I was just saying, like, first of all, we all understand who Deion Sanders is, and as an NFL legend, one of the greatest to ever do it at the cornerback position, right? Probably the number one for me, right? But who the hell is Deion Sanders?
Man.
And returner, yes, thank you. One of the most lightning, electrifying fucking return man.
Dynamic.
Yes. But who the fuck is Deion Sanders to say? First of all, he doesn't even have the resume that a lot of these coaches have, right, at the college level, where he can have, where he can have a voice of where his opinion or his voice matters, even if he did have control over, the destinations for his players. He doesn't have the resume. He doesn't have the voice. He doesn't have the repertoire that other coaches like a Nick Saban would have, right?
Well, why would a Nick Saban have more of a voice than the Hall of Fame fucking legend in the NFL? I don't understand your point.
What I'm saying is, listen. What I'm saying is that, listen. What I'm trying to say is that I don't think Deion Sanders is no one to not let anyone play for, not let any of his players play for any team.
No, I agree. Yeah, no man is, right? Nobody is.
Right. Yeah. Nobody is. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the greatest cornerback to ever play. You got 6 Super Bowls. I don't give a crap, right?
Right. Well, that was my point, Spidey, is when you mentioned Nick Saban, I was basically what I was trying to say is Nick Saban don't have that voice either. Exactly. Nobody does. Yeah.
Right. So again, like, bro, you got to let these scouts, you got to let these the front office of these teams, their scouting departments, right? Their respective scouts, their coaching staff, depending on which coaching staff is doing the evaluation, you got to let those guys make the decision and evaluate these players and put them on their draft board and evaluate how they're going to set up their draft in the upcoming couple weeks. Like, it's the same thing with Caleb Williams' dad. Like, he really wanted his son, to just forsake parity and just go have the voice to have, and have the option for his son to land in any team that he chooses. No, the NFL is special than any other team because it's based on parity. The team with the worst record are the ones that are primed to get their hands at the best talent that they, to get, especially at core positions that they can draft to build, which are usually the core positions to build your franchise around.
Well, can I comment on that really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, about Caleb's dad. First off, he's a fucking idiot because
exactly.
I get the whole thing about organizations. All you're doing is looking at where a team is right now, right? Well, Chicago doesn't have a very good organization because they're drafted first. Well, no shit. Anybody drafted first is going to be a shit team in that year, right? But what he's not understanding is, bro, the Chicago Bears, that is a global franchise. I mean, I know Dallas Cowboys is like number one, but the Bears, man, their fan base is rabid, literally rabid. And if you come in there and win for that fucking franchise, you're a fucking legend for life.
Not only that, but the Chicago Bears, real quick, CT.
Yeah, go
But the
ahead.
Chicago Bears, they basically moved planets to make sure that you have, everything that you need coming into the, into the NFL. They're making sure that you're walking into the best situation possible. I mean, you're literally like walking in with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. You got Cole Kmet at tight end. They got 2 good running backs. Like
They
they
got
have
the
one of the most
number 9
productive
pick
backfields.
too. They get the number 9 pick.
I know, that's the crazy thing. So it's like, bro,
It's still gonna be trash.
I love
you know
both
what I
of you
mean?
boys. I love both of you boys, and I want to quickly insert on this. I was all on board with Spidey because Spidey was exactly what Bleezy was saying. Who the fuck does Deion Sanders think he is? That's number one. But the point that y'all are missing is y'all are talking about, oh, well, when the first team up there is going to draft you, they both suck. This is not an Eli Manning situation. This is not a John Elway situation.
Who's
This is Shador Sanders. Shador Sanders, who again, he played some FBS teams.
Bro, we were talking about Caleb Williams going to Chicago.
They're talking
No,
about
no,
this
no, no.
year. CT's talking
No,
about
the CT. That's not. You're missing the point. Yeah,
I'm getting back to the Deion Sanders thing.
Well, no. Okay, so get back there. Shador, yeah, I'm not a believer in Shador. I wasn't fucking. He's getting overhyped.
Exactly. My whole thing is this is not Eli Manning. This is not John Elway. Okay? This is your fucking son sucks. He fucking played against FBS teams and you guys won 4 in a row.
CT,
and
but you're
then
missing
you
the
played
point.
real college teams and you sucked. And then on top of that, Travis Hunter, yeah,
CT.
okay. He had a good can I fucking land real quick, Irvin? My whole point is
Go ahead.
I
again,
love you guys. I love y'all.
my whole
Go
thing
ahead,
though
Papa.
is
Fucking
his
psychos.
point. No, the point is Travis Hunter the same way. Okay, he's a decent wide receiver. He had a couple good games. He put himself on the map. Good for him. I'm glad. But he's not a fucking first round pick. And neither is fucking Shador Sanders. So for
CT,
you to
but you're
come
missing
out.
CT, but you're missing the point, though. We're saying, like, listen, Deion Sanders is nobody. It doesn't matter whether he's a Hall of Fame corner, the greatest cornerback to ever play the position, one of the most electrifying special teams players. It doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter who he is or whatever. Deion Sanders Deion Sanders. So we're just trying to compare, like let alone Caleb Williams' dad, who's a nobody, has no say in where his son is going to go because he can't say shit. So Deion Sanders, who is somebody,
but here's my thing: is in Caleb Williams' instance, his dad doesn't fucking. His dad has no control either. And I agree. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if your fucking son is talented, you at least have some fucking leg to stand on. But
I see what you're trying to say. Yeah,
when your son sucks, you got no fucking leg to stand on.
So hey, y'all.
Caleb Williams is supposed to be the top pick.
It gets worse though, because
maybe
I was saying Bleezy earlier. Hold on, it makes it even worse though, because now he's not going to be a top pick. He's not going to be a first round pick. But then all you're doing is you are creating an issue down the road for your son and Travis Hunter by turning off GMs and management and coaches on these teams going, I'm not going to deal with this fucking headache.
But CT, here's the thing though. There's two different situations, right? Because Caleb Williams, right? Caleb Williams' dad is pretty practically nobody in the sports world. It's just a dad supporting his son. Caleb Williams is supposed to be a generational talent at his position, right? Number 1 overall pick. So it's hard to compare that situation with Deion Sanders because Deion Sanders is the Hall of Fame cornerback, Hall of Fame NFL guy. It's the opposite. His son is no. But here's the thing: his son is not that good. He's not a very good quarterback prospect.
His son is a nobody.
So it offsets it. What I'm trying to say, it offsets.
And I do agree to a degree. But the thing is,
hold on, real quick. Let me like real quick. But the thing is, what makes the situation special with Eli Manning, right? And with the Chargers and Giants thing is that his dad is a good quarterback. His brother was in the NFL. He is what is an NFL MVP. So he had, since he has family members that are, basically, well-known NFL players. You know what I mean? And he was a good quarterback prospect coming out of what school that he came to. So
Ole
in that
Miss,
situation,
Ole Miss.
since he has the college tape, right? Since he has the college tape and the reputation as a college player coming out, and he already has NFL pedigree, those two things, very relevant things, gives Eli Manning more of a voice at that time where he could pick where he wanted to go. You know what I mean?
And you're proving my point. That was my whole thing.
Exactly.
He had both. He had both, and then you have Caleb Williams.
Number one.
You got a nobody, but your son is a badass. But nobody gives a fuck about you. Yeah, your son's a badass, but nobody's gonna deal with your bullshit because your son's a badass. But then on the other side of the coin, okay, yeah, Dion, you were a badass, but your son's a bitch. I'm not going to put up with your bullshit to draft some half-ass fucking quarterback who plays like shit against FCS opponents, but against FBS opponents, you can fucking play all right against shitty teams, but then you start playing legitimate college teams and you get your ass whooped week in and week out. So again, I think the NFL would be much more adapt to saying a la Tua, right? To his dad, him playing well, him being, a polarizing figure in college football. They're like, hey, I'm willing to put up with your dumbass dad because you're a good player. But if you're not a good player, I don't give a fuck if your dad was a good player because I don't have shit to do with you.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
Looking at these teams, I'm fascinated by the teams because the 49ers make sense, right? Because Dion played for them. The Falcons make sense because Dion played for them, and the Cowboys make sense for the same reason.
And the Eagles, do the Ravens. He played for the Ravens as well.
Yeah, and the Eagles, I get it, Philadelphia, whatever. But the Commanders, does anybody know why the Commanders is on that list? Because I have a theory.
I have no fucking clue other than
he played for them. Dion played for the Redskins.
He did. Like his last, before he came back out of retirement, during his retirement, the last team that he did play for was the Redskins.
Yep.
Hold on, did he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Now, but the question is why would he want to do that, knowing the circumstances that are revolving Washington right now with the Snyder situation, with the fucking firing of Ron Rivera, with all this bullshit going on?
I'll tell you why. Because Magic Johnson owns the team now.
That's true. That's true. Different ownership, different management. The thing is that like, okay, if Deion Sanders, whose reputation, right, who precedes him, his resume precedes him, his stature as a former NFL player, because he was a legend, because of that he has the ear of other NFL GMs because of who he was, because he's a coach in college. But if his son was actually good, hold on.
I don't agree with that.
He might get but what I'm saying he might get their attention, but his son is no good, so he's not gonna look their interest in watching his son starts to wane fast because he's not that good, right? Caleb Williams is a special player. His dad is kind of like LeVar Ball, right? That he doesn't. He's not really.
Is Williams a slam dunk for number one? Is he going to the Bears?
Slam dunk. Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, his dad.
They've already given him the playbook, and that is confirmed. He himself confirmed. They have already gave him the playbook, and he's been studying it on his own.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is here, like the only reason why Caleb Williams is teams are really interested and he's a hot commodity because it's of his talent. It's not because of his dad's reputation. Exactly. So that's what keeps teams interested. He's got the tape, he's got the skill set, you know what I mean, the traits, et cetera, et cetera. So I think Caleb Williams in this situation probably would have more say just because of his the tape that he produced. He's a Heisman Trophy winner, et cetera, et cetera. But it wouldn't matter what his dad would say because, like I said, GMs are gonna kind of like kind of dismiss whatever he says because you're just a LeVar Ball. You're nobody, whatever. Your son is what we're paying attention to and what we're interested in.
Exactly.
But in the Eli Manning situation, and the reason why he's still famous to this day, he could pick he literally demanded where he wanted to go was because, like I said, my father was a former NFL quarterback, a really good quarterback. My brother is an NFL MVP, and I'm a top pick, and so he was able to use his pedigree and his name to gain influence and did whatever he wanted to do. So that's the only thing is
work out that way though. We got to understand it didn't work out that way. You do understand that and I brought this up earlier is even though they said that he didn't want to play for them, whatever. Originally you do know that they did tell him, okay, that's fine. If you don't want to play for us, if we can't get the compensation we're looking for, then you'll just sit out.
Yeah, you'll sit for 5 fucking years and you'll deal with it.
And they threatened him with that.
I didn't know that part. I don't remember that part. It was so long ago.
Absolutely threatened him with that. And the thing is this is where I felt like, and I brought this up earlier, in this situation, in the Shedeur Sanders situation, like, are you really going to sit for 4 fucking years? Because technically it's not 5. Because even if they draft him in the first round, he has a 5th-year option. But still, look how that worked out for fucking Le'Veon Bell, sitting out fucking 1 year of his fucking prime. Are you going to sit out 4 fucking years just to be able to pick your team?
So real quick, being a Bills fan, Jim Kelly did this too with the Bills. I don't know if y'all remember, but Jim Kelly was drafted high by the Bills and then did not want to play for them. And went and played for like the CFL.
He played the USFL.
Yeah, for like 2 years before he finally came back to the NFL. So I mean, there was precedent of this before, which is probably why the Eli thing worked out a little bit. But in today's game, I just don't think it would. I think, it's one of those been there, done that. We as owners know how to handle this situation now. We'll just,
exactly.
Yeah, and Jim, and Bleezy did bring it up. Colin, the man, the myth, the legend, in here. I'm not ignoring you, Colin. But I want to wrap this one up. I'm going to wrap this one up, but we'll let you get your opinion in on it, Colin, too. But Bleezy brought it up earlier. John Elway did it as well. And it's to the point where, again, if your talent is at the level in which that a team is saying, okay, can I get enough compensation for you for my liking, or do I make you sit?
I don't even know.
Those are the 2 options. And in this situation,
time with these 2 guys. They're irrelevant.
It pissed me off because it's Deion Sanders thinking he's a big bad motherfucker and he's going to tell people. And the thing is now all you're doing, to finish up my point, was because they don't have the talent, teams are not going to be willing to put up with your fucking bullshit. Now what 100%. You're doing is you're now hurting their fucking chances more than you're helping them. So 100%. Now you're creating more of a fucking problem than solving it. But go ahead, Colin.
What's up, Colin?
Man, what's up, fellas? Well,
what's up, Colin? How you doing, bro?
Let me turn on the subject real quick because the Magic are out here taking care of business.
They're doing shit in the NBA playoffs.
On Deion Sanders, or are we moving on to our next football topic?
Semifinals. Hey, did you guys talk of the draft?
Whatever the coach, whatever
a little bit.
Dad wants to say for him, that's fine with me. And I don't believe that's actually what they're riding with. But hey, man, if he wants to get picked up by certain teams, why can't he say something like this, bro? So other than
He
that,
can
fuck the
say it, but
fuck
like
the
I
They're not
just
good
said,
Jets.
enough.
Colin, they're
They're
not
not good
good
enough.
enough.
Let's
And
go,
now,
Magic,
in
man.
fact, now Deion Sanders is hurting his son and this other kid by pigeonholing them. And then you're going to create animosity with other teams and GMs because you say, fuck you, my kids are only going to play here. And they're like, okay, fuck you. Your sons or your players
Well,
suck
I
anyway.
mean,
I'm not going to draft them at all.
they still got a whole nother year to play. We can worry about them next year.
Oh, bro, another year for Shador to suck. You're right. But anyway, let's
So-
move the fuck on.
Yeah, it's kind of is
But
it
we did
irrelevant to us?
absolutely been
The Miami
talking about the
Dolphins.
draft a little bit here and there. We can go back for you, Spidey. We were talking about the edge position, where we're looking at right now. Obviously, with Jalen Phillips and Chubb out, I don't know if you heard the update from Jalen Phillips from the spring game, spring game.
That'll be healthy
He
for the
did.
season.
He said, quote unquote, healthy for the season. Now, again, we've been over this. We've talked at nauseum about the Cameron Wake thing. Cameron Wake got injured a month and a half before Jalen Phillips in the season. He was able to, quote unquote, come back for the beginning of the season. However, they had him on a 20 fucking play snap count for the first 5 games of the season. So, are you saying that you're going to be fully healthy for the season or the start of the season? Hold on. Let me finish quick. Is it for the start of the season or is it during the season? But the thing is nobody had a follow-up question for him. So we don't have clarity on that. But we've already established Mike McDaniel's propensity to be cautious with these guys, as well as the fact that even in that circumstance, I brought up Cam Wake. We brought up other defensive linemen and linebackers with the same Achilles injuries, even in the most recent past, that, okay, you might be physically healthy enough to play football. Does that mean that you're in football shape? Or does that mean that you're able to come out and play at a high level? Those are 3 different things. So, given that circumstance, go ahead. My bad.
No,
I was just saying, given that circumstance, I was saying, given that circumstance, we see our depth chart there, and then we bring up the available draft targets or possible draft targets for us. What do these guys intrigue you? Where are you looking at with these guys?
Well, I think I don't think Jalen Phillips is going to be ready by week 1. I mean, I think Barry Jackson brought up a study. I think it was him or another Miami beat reporter, reporter. He took a look at running backs, edge rushers, and linebackers, and he saw how they measured their performance after like major injuries such as an Achilles tear, and their production is quite concerning. The production dips after those coming back from those injuries. So if I'm the Dolphins, if Mike McDaniel has even said it, he's going to protect the players from themselves and slower, right? Now, so I don't think he's going to be ready. And we already know that Bradley Chubb, his injury is worse than what it was originally reported. So I don't think these guys are going to be ready for the first. I think it's going to be Shaquille Barrett playing the majority of the starting snaps at edge. And then those guys that you just mentioned as part of that rotation. But this is why Miami, I think, this is why I think edge rusher for me is such a big need for the Miami Dolphins, because you don't have the depth, right? You lost your 2 main edge rushers, plus you lost your backup in Cameron Good, who also plays special teams. So
this is why I would put anyway. So let's not even fucking try.
You lost Andrew Van Ginkel in free agency, so this is why.
Okay, there you go.
Edge
That's
rusher,
better. That's better.
Yeah, that's why edge rusher is such a focus, such a huge need. And I think these 2 guys like Laiatu Latu and Jared Verse are 2 guys that could potentially come up available for you once you pick at 21. Laiatu Latu, I've been watching tape of both guys. Mostly Laiatu Latu. I think he's the most polished pass rusher of in the class, and
What
he's
about
got
Chop Robinson?
Chop Robinson will be gone.
I think Chop Robinson might be available, but I think he's an elite athletic specimen. Like he's got length, he's got everything that in a pass rush. The thing is, he's raw. He needs development. The Laiatu thing would be like Miami's number one target in terms of the edge rushers because he's the most pass rusher. Like he's got the deepest arsenal of pass rush moves and counter moves, and he can line up anywhere. He can even line them up inside as a 4 technique, a 3 technique. I've seen him used all over even at nose, right? But he's primarily 7, wide 9, 7, etc. And he's got the length, he's got the bend, he's got the speed, he's got the good ankle flexion, keep his hips outward and back, keep himself balanced when he's getting around a tackle, etc. And I think he's pass rusher, like, bro, he's even more polished than Jalen Phillips coming out of college. I think as far as like a number one starter ready to go week 1, I think Latu is your number one. It should be your number 1 candidate. But Jared Verse is another guy that's high motor like Latu, but stronger. He's longer.
Oh shit! Yeah, we're having all kinds of issues with him.
He was bringing it. He was saying good stuff, man. But
Yo, talking.
I also think that
talking about bringing it, fucking Bleezy has bringing those fucking shorts like fucking hotcakes, man.
Yeah,
dropping them shits left and right. I don't even know who's coming out for the draft until I come looking at these shorts that Bleezy is dropping.
My bad. I was trying to bring freaking Irvin back in, and I clicked.
Real quick. So just to finish, I don't know if you. I don't know if I cut off. Yeah, just to finish off, I think Jared Verse, like he's, bro, the guy is he's just as fast around the edge as Latu is. I think he's longer. He's got more length, and he's taller. He's got more length, and he's explosive. He's very strong. Like Latu, good hands. He's mid, and he's more explosive. Coming off his rush stance, and all of them, and then you have, of course, the defensive tackle.
You're breaking up again.
Yeah, we can't fucking hear you again.
Yeah, you got a wet robot on us again. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me again? Oh,
yep.
All right. So I was just saying, like, after Jared Verse, because the Dolphins are interested in Jared Verse and Latu, and they like Johnny Newton a lot. And of course, Byron Murphy's that. So, bro, you got your pick of the litter at 21 in positions of need, whether they be defensive tackle, which I think is the second most pressing need after pass rusher, and then of course tackle, and then wide receiver. So, bro, like, I mean, edge rusher would be the first.
But Urban,
yeah.
Another thing is that the DT position and edge, from what I hear, there's a huge drop off, right? Going into the second round. So you kind of want to pick one of those. If that's your need, you want to pick one of those early because they won't be there come the next pick.
Yeah. Agreed, Amicus. And then here's the other thing that I tried to bring up a little earlier. There's another problem with that, Irvin. And I said to Bleezy, if that's your plan and you already have a plan in motion of moving off of Bradley Chubb, then you need to exercise that plan in the fact that, hold on, let me finish.
Oh, my bad.
Because what if this kid comes and balls out, right? Say you draft this guy early and he balls out, right?
Right.
Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips come back. Are you going to say, hey, bud, slap on the ass. Thanks for balling out, but you're just going to be a rotational piece now. So now you're going to stun his growth, his ability to continue on. Now, the only way you solve that is if you already have a plan in motion and saying, look, we're going to let Bradley go at the end of the year because we don't want to pay him because obviously his guaranteed money is over after this year. You have your out this offseason. Or do you say, hey, if this guy does ball out, then we can trade Bradley Bradley Chubb before the trade deadline and get something to help this team. Because if not, if the guy is balling out, how can you tell him, hey, smack on the ass, thanks for fucking helping us while we waited for other guys to come back?
You would keep him in the you would keep him in the rotation.
Yeah, but you know what? Also,
you're going to go from being a solid starter to now, you're going to be a rotational piece for us.
But here's the thing, CT. It's not just Bradley Chubb. It's also, you don't know where Jalen Phillips is going to be at after the Achilles tear. You know what I mean?
And I agree. I'm just saying, in general, the theory, the thought process
Chubb. Yeah.
If they do, you have a whole nother set of problems on your hands. And I said that I like it if your plan is to move off of Bradley Chubb anyway. Say Bradley Chubb balls out and Jalen Phillips doesn't come back correct. Okay, well, you still got Bradley Chubb. You don't have to pay Jalen Phillips. Let him fucking walk. But the whole point is during the rest of that season, and I've already been on record fucking 9 months ago when all this shit happened. No, it hasn't been 7 months ago when it happened to Bradley Chubb and to fucking Jalen Phillips. They're not going to be ready until late October, early November.
Right.
Both of them.
Right.
And maybe they do come back. Maybe Phillips comes back earlier. But a la Cameron Wake, he had 5 fucking games with 20 snaps or less. He had 1 sack in those 5 fucking games. He was never, during those 5 games, was not ready to come back. He was physically healthy, but he wasn't in football shape, nor was he ready to play football. So again, even if they bring back Phillips early, you're going to see a different production. I didn't see the article that you said or you read. You got to send that over to me. But I've been saying this shit for fucking months. So this ain't nothing new for me. But my thing is at the end of the day, you got to think long term, and that's one of Greer's issues. Greer is a here and now. Greer is not a let's plan for the future kind of guy. That's not how Greer operates. Now, if he's going to learn from his mistakes and say, okay, because I brought up earlier, maybe he drafts a wide receiver knowing you have to pay Waddle, which we'll get into because we already touched on it earlier, but Devontae Smith got his extension, which now sets a blueprint for what you're going to have to pay Waddle. But I digress. You got to pay Waddle. You got fucking Tyreek on the hook for a shit ton of guaranteed money if you don't move off of him. So
Javon Holland, Jalen Phillips, big contracts coming up.
Yeah.
So what was Devontae Smith's contract?
Think forward. Devontae Smith got a 3-year, $75 million extension. $25 million.
4-year. I heard it was a 4-year, $92 million deal. No, Omar Kelly said it was more like a 4 than a 3-year deal because the guaranteed money covered the 4 years. It spread throughout the 4 years, but it didn't include the 5th-year option. But I don't know. I'm just
that's why it's considered. That's why. Hold on, real quick, Bleezy. That's why it's considered. They say that it's a 4-year deal, but it's not.
Right.
It's a 3-year extension because they've already set him into the 5th-year option. So the 5th-year option is already there. They gave him an additional 3 years for $75 million. Now, yes, 51 of that is guaranteed, but that guaranteed money comes in the first 2 years of that extension. But again, essentially, numerically speaking, yes, you can spread that cap out into void years and dead money and whatever, but it doesn't change the fact that they gave him essentially $25 million a year.
Ah, gotcha.
So basically, if Waddle has his normal good year, he's going to say, I want all that and then some. He's gonna want to break the
Well,
bank.
they gotta do something, man, because that clock is ticking, and the price on Jalen Waddle is just getting more expensive and expensive. And the more they sit on their hands, it's gonna be a lot harder to retain Jalen Waddle, and they have no choice but
Did
to
not say
exercise the
that
fifth-year
earlier,
option.
Bleezy. Irvin bringing the heat, baby. I like it.
Yeah, bro, it's fucking ridiculous, bro. I'm like, bro, just get it done. If
Doing
you
the same shit again, Irving. Greer doing the same shit again.
yeah, that's his biggest problem, bro.
If you're not going to extend Tua, then you need to extend Javon Holland or fucking Jalen Waddle with X's money and get ahead of the fucking game instead of next year going, oh, well, we got to let him walk like we did Christian Wilkins because I'm a fucking retard.
Hey, I have a question.
Cajun.
How do you feel?
That's right. Sorry, Cajun. Sorry.
Hey, how do you feel about Tyreek Hill leaving the Chiefs and going to the Dolphins and never getting a playoff victory, but Mahomes wins 2 Super Bowls in a row without that motherfucker? How do you feel about that?
I think it's bullshit.
I think that, again, the Chiefs played like shit all year, and it doesn't matter. That's a prime example of you don't have to have a dominant team in the regular season, just like Green Rat wanted to bring up fucking Eli Manning. Yep. Overall, regular season, he's fucking 500. But guess what? In the playoffs, Eli Manning is 9-2. So you can make that argument again. It just like Patrick Mahomes. Okay, you didn't have a great year, but in the playoffs, number one, you play in fucking 30-mile-an-hour winds your first fucking game. So you could fucking enjoy that victory. But
that game was dangerous too. Like, bro, a lot of people got frostbite.
I know, and I'm not gonna go there because we got Amicus in here, and he bitched about, it's not the same thing. It's just wind. It's not snow.
Just keep going. Just keep going. I didn't mean to bring that up.
When people amputate their fucking digits, but again, it's not a public safety thing, Amicus.
Yeah, because God forbid somebody not be responsible and fucking dress accordingly. I mean, like we live in a sensitive fucking society now where everybody gets blamed for everything. There's no accountability or self-responsibility anymore, right?
Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree to that extent. But what I'm making is
you lose a body part, it's on you, right, Amicus? That's on them.
You're damn right. The fuck are you doing there?
Again,
to begin with. No gloves.
Football as a league is supposed to
watch out
for the well-being of their fans. You know what I mean? And they should have probably never held the game. But again, that's
exactly.
Just my
and then hold on. Irvin, you're 1,000%. And the only thing is you know me, Amicus. You know me politically. You know where I lean. I am all on that fucking train. My point, though, is if the argument from the NFL was for the safety of our fans, we're not going to have a Bills game. You can't make the same argument that says, okay, this game is not a safety issue for fans. Can I sue the snowmobile company that I used 3 years ago when I went to the Colorado Rockies in -5 degree weather? Can I sue them? Because I decided to drive up a fucking mountain 20 miles in a snow blizzard and snowmobile. They were open, CT. Don't they have a responsibility to close the fucking shop down?
I'm sorry, I brought it up. My bad.
Now you're making a semantic argument of doing something dangerous that in and of itself is dangerous, and the implied understanding. Now I'm gonna fucking pull out my book because we're on the same page. We got all these fucking Cajun snowflakes out here. They go, I don't know how to dress warm when it's cold outside. But again, the NFL says that they closed the Bills game to make sure I was safe. Well, if they didn't close this game,
no, TT, that's wrong. That was due to travel. Had nothing to do with the fucking temperature and worried about fingers falling off, man.
The snow was really bad. That lake
Yeah,
effect
That's
there
snow
true.
is
were
That
not a
is
joke.
guys.
true.
There was a
That lake
door
effect snow is not a
They
joke, bro. That's
said,
why they
quote
canceled it.
unquote, no. And we brought this up, Irvin, and you were on that show. We brought it up word for word. They said, due to the nature of fan safety and travel conditions. Now, again,
Travel conditions.
and you're going to let me finish. So, again,
Well, you
those
make my point.
travel no, I'm
Well, make my
agreeing
point.
with you on this
Yeah.
point, but I'm making the distinction between the two. I agree with you. I know that it was a travel thing, but the NFL, they made it out to be that it's a fan safety issue. So again, if you're going to put your name and mantra on fan safety issue, but then turn around and they have already started legal proceedings against the NFL and the Chiefs for allowing that game to be fucking played
Oh my
with
God.
fans. Because hold on, I agree with
hold on, because you're contradicting yourself and you're fucking
not.
you're not making any sense. Bro, you played, how many people had a heat stroke during that Dolphins-Bills game? Half our team was getting IVs in the fucking locker room. You're talking out of your ass right now, talking about public safety?
No, because that's bullshit. Because again, just
Wait,
like
were
they
any
made
fans
the
complaining
argument,
about OSHA?
hold on, because
Yeah.
no,
They're
because
really heat
just
stroke?
because you made that, hold
And our
the
fans are
fucking
soft.
phone. Shut the fuck up for a minute. The whole point is the NFL itself said the teams have trained medical staff there to attend to their every need. So again, it's not a player safety issue because the NFL already stated they were questioned. Do you think it's dangerous for the players to play in this fucking temperature with this wind chill? And they said no. They have training staff, they have all the equipment necessary, right? But the issue is do they give that same equipment to fans? No, they don't. So again, as I said before, the NFL could have made the choice, which they've done it before, that they will play the game. However, they will not allow fans in attendance live. So again, it's already been argued by the NFL Players Association, and the lawsuits that are suing the NFL in Kansas City are making the same fucking arguments.
Damn, CT out here with the facts.
I don't fucking understand how you can't look at that Dolphins game in 150-degree heat and not. I mean, it's the same thing.
Because you're players and you have a medical staff, and the NFL says they don't give a fuck.
CT. The fans. It was a public safety for the fans.
I'm not disputing that. I'm saying the argument is if that's the case, then you close the fucking the game to the public, and you play on TV because they've done it multiple times before.
Hold on, CT. Hold on, bro. Listen. I couldn't stand it. The fucking Bills fans, right? They came to our home stadium and they complained to fucking OSHA about the fucking sun and about the way the stadium was built because the sun was beaming on them. Knowing fucking well it wasn't a problem in years before when you guys were kicking our ass before, but that day when you guys happened to be losing and shit, now all of a sudden it became a fucking problem. Like,
maybe you misunderstood me, Irvin. I don't give a fuck about OSHA or any of that. I don't give a fuck about the people going to the game in minus 30-degree weather, just like I don't give a fuck about the people going to the Dolphins game and getting a heat stroke. Because if you're going to go to that game when the sun is beaming down on your fucking seats, you should know what you're getting into. Be hydrated.
You're talking about the fact for having some self-responsibility and awareness. That you should know before you're going into that.
I agree, and I agree with fucking advocates about the city thing. My whole point was,
hold on, let me land, CT. And I'm saying CT can't bitch and complain about that weather game with the snow and the frostbite if he's not going to bitch and complain about the heat strokes.
Hey, but listen,
I will say the point I was making. Hold on, Irvin, real quick. You're making my point.
Hypocrisy.
No, it's not my hypocrisy. You're making my point for me. The whole point was, if you're going to argue one way or the other, you have to be consistent. So if the NFL is going to be consistent, then you should have said no fans at the Miami game. The teams have medical staff. They'll fucking be okay. The same way that if you make the argument about the safety of the Buffalo fans or even Miami fans visiting Buffalo when it is fucking cold and it is snowing, then if you're going to make the argument, stay consistent. My issue was the inconsistency. That's my issue.
Now,
if you're going to fucking do it, be consistent, period. One way or the other. Because then there is no argument. Then the argument goes away because you're consistent.
Here's the thing, though. Look, listen. When I compare both situations, I would say that, you know, because the way our stadium is built, some area, because depending on where the angle of the sun hits the building, there's some areas that are shaded. That where the sun, where the fans are not affected by the solar, you know, by the solar rays and things of that nature, right? So there's and it's humid, whatever. But the you know, the when it comes to that type of weather, there is less risk. And yeah, there is heat exhaustion. I get that, right? But there is you're playing, you're in a stadium surrounded by less risk as opposed to playing in weather where it's negative 30-degree wind chill, right? Where there's 29-mile-per-hour wind gusts, making that wind chill even more extreme, and it's already 10 degrees below zero outside, right? So you're the greater chance of risk of a person losing their body part, or you know, their fingers, their whatever. It's way more dangerous playing in Kansas City than it was playing in Buffalo. However, there were people, and this is to Amicus's point, right? You have to, when you're coming into those. Now, the NFL is going to do its thing by sending weather reports and advisories to make sure people, you know, that they're well informed before they come into a game, and that is up to the fan to have some responsibility to prepare themselves before that game is coming. So when I went to the Kansas City game, there was people that were sleeveless. There were people that were not wearing shirts, et cetera, right? When there were multiple warnings all throughout that whole entire week before the Miami Kansas City game, where the NFL was warning and other experts, right? Please wear, do not expose your skin. Wear sweaters, jackets, windbreakers, masks, face coverings, whatever you can to protect your skin from potential frostbite, because the weather that the Dolphins are playing in is extreme. So it is the fans' responsibility to make sure they listen, you know, they take those suggestions into account and they apply that to themselves, but they didn't. So the reason why these fans, for the most part, right, you can have some argument. Yeah, it should have the NFL have had this game played. Okay, fine. There could be some argument whether it was safe enough to play that game. But at the end of the day, football is played in all types of weather. I mean, they played in this kind of weather back in 1967, where there was less protective gear, technology, etc.
The ice bowl,
right?
the snow, yeah.
So again, there's no excuses. There's plenty of weather advisories and experts from the Weather Channel and Wonderground, all these different people that work together collectively with the NFL to make sure people stay safe out there by giving them tips to make sure they stay and keep themselves safe. Well, if the fans didn't listen to the experts and their suggestions, and they're out here, thinking like they're wearing, they're shirtless, thinking like this is a game where it's like 70 degrees and the wind is at 10, it's breezy and shit like that. That's their fault. And if they have,
exactly,
if they're getting frostbite and they're facing amputation, that's their damn fucking fault.
Yeah, you want to screw the cigarette companies when they put the fucking Surgeon General warning on there? Exactly. You go in there and you buy the fucking carton of cigarettes. That's on 100%. You, motherfucker.
100%.
Believe the NFL has their ass covered on that.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring it.
My only pushback to that whole thing is actually, as a matter of fact, heat stroke is way more dangerous than frostbite. I would rather lose a finger. I would rather lose a finger or two, because if you have heat stroke, you end up dead. They do shove a fucking icicle up your fucking ass to try to cool you off if they can't control it with an ice bath.
CT, but I disagree though,
I
because
would
that's
rather lose a
extreme weather,
couple
bro. You can
fingers
literally
than
freeze to
have a
death in a
fucking
matter.
gold dildo
No,
shoved up my
CT,
ass.
CT. I'm sorry,
rather
but
be
you
in the
can literally
heat.
if you're bare skin, if you're wearing clothes like a normal t-shirt and shorts in that type of freezing weather, bro, you can freeze within a matter of minutes, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. That type of weather is
Because
way more
again,
dangerous than Miami,
then
bro.
it
I've
comes
been in
to the
those type
point
of games
of
in Miami
ignorance.
all the time, bro. I grew up in that stadium. Me and you, we grew up in that stadium. I went to, you know how many games I've went to that, bro? I've been going since I was a toddler, bro. I've been going to that fucking stadium,
But
and there have
and
been
that
games in
right there
September,
is the
October,
difference.
up
And
there, especially up in the roof.
you're disputing or you're not taking into account for the fact that you just admitted we grew up in it.
Oh
We
well,
knew what to expect.
but I'm
The
saying,
difference,
Okay,
no,
hey, real.
don't back up
Well,
now. The point,
I'm not backing up.
hold
I'm not
on. I
backing up. I'm
need
just
to.
making my point real quick,
Hey,
because well, I'm trying to make my point
but I'm gonna
is that
make your
yes, we're
point
used
for
to the
you,
weather.
Irvin.
But,
I'm gonna help
yeah,
you
go
out.
ahead.
Tag me in, bro.
Go
Tag
ahead.
me in, because
Tag
you know
you in.
how I
Go.
roll.
Boom. Boom. You're in.
I'm
You're in.
gonna throw the scientific facts out here because we're dealing with extreme heat and extreme cold, and it's
Right.
not even close. Extreme cold is
Way
far
more
more
dangerous.
deadlier than extreme heat because it's actually a 9-to-1 ratio. For every one person that dies of extreme heat, 9
Yep.
people die from extreme cold.
yes,
Facts.
but you're not
Exactly.
taking into consideration, as we've spoke about before, if you go out on a fucking slippery slope somewhere or you're climbing Mount Everest, then you understand the inherent risk. The argument I'm making is in this circumstance, if you're a Floridian and you know how hot it's going to be,
Yeah,
you can
but
adapt to that. Just the same way
CT, but
that
you're
you
missing my. Go
assume,
ahead. Go ahead.
let me finish though. You would assume that people like in Buffalo or in
That's new.
Kansas City that they would be adapt
Uh,
to being in the cold. The issue is there are stupid people from Kansas City. They're out there with no shirt on like a fucking Cajun.
Right.
Okay, that's
yeah, can
fine.
we see the statistics of the people that got
Yeah,
frostbite?
but
Were they the
CT,
ones that didn't have any
exactly.
fucking gloves on?
Right.
I
But CT,
don't.
here's
All they did release was that it was one Kansas City fan and 8 Dolphins fans that have
but
had to have the amputations. So
Right.
again, that right there, in and of itself, says either the Miami fans didn't know what to expect, they weren't told by the NFL, look, we're going to do this. And I agree with Amicus and you, Irvin. That's on you. If you're going to travel somewhere, you need to do your own fucking research.
And this
Fuck
doesn't help
the
my
NFL.
argument
Fuck
because
everybody else.
I was trying to show the parallels of the extreme heat. So this doesn't even help my argument at all. But cold is more dangerous. It is.
But here's the thing. But what the point I was trying to make is, even if yes, you have a point. There is some there is some truth to that. Yeah, yes, there is some
Personal accountability.
No,
Accountability.
that's not what I'm trying to say. Yeah, that's not what I'm trying to argue. Yes, you do have an argument. Yes, it is true. There is somewhat true that yeah, we live in South Florida. We're used to the heat. But what I'm trying to compare is there's like what just it's what Amicus just pointed out. The survival rate in those type of games, that it's less risk. There's less risk than being in a game of the ones that that these fans and these players experience in Kansas City. You know what I mean? There's not as much risk. Like
What his study says is, in general, it's not about sports. It's in general, period, that cold weather causes more death than heat. And I can agree with that. However,
but you're missing
that
my point,
doesn't
though.
take into account circumstances of, again, say 9 of those people died climbing fucking Mount Everest. So, okay, they died, but was it a lack of fucking ability or intelligence on their selves based on I came ill prepared for what I was getting myself into?
CT, but here's the thing, though. This is the thing. You're facing a lot more. Just given what Amic is, this is very simple to understand. This, given Amic is, regardless of if whether it's generalized or one particular incident, one particular event, right? In sports, a game. It doesn't matter what situation it is. When you're in those extreme temperatures, right, compared to extreme heat, even if you're used to it, the chances, the danger to the human body, right? Warm weather, like hot weather, like the one that we experience in Miami, which is not what it is in Death Valley or stuff. What we experience in Miami, there's less risk to our bodies. Even if we're used to it, there's less risk. Even if you have somebody coming from New York or whatever, there's less risk to their bodies in terms of health problems in that type of weather compared to fucking cold weather, bro.
Yeah, I think there's, hey, real quick.
Hold on. No, because I pulled up this study. So again, the extremes of temperature, whether cold and or hot, the disparity or differential between temperatures is not the issue. In most cases,
y'all got it.
Temperature is often more cold than it is too hot, which explains the disparity between more than 90% of temperature-related deaths from cold rather than hot.
Okay,
so again,
but hold on. Okay, let us retort. But that disparity doesn't. There's no way to balance that. Meaning, you can only deal with what is available. Okay, there's more extreme cold in that gap than there is extreme heat. But nevertheless, there's still scenarios for people to go into extreme heat and extreme cold, and with whichever one you go into, one is worse than the other.
Right.
But there is a better data set. There is a better data set. How do you balance that? By saying, okay, let me find a study that doesn't deal with the extremes of Antarctica versus the tropical rainforest. Why don't we find a study that's done that speaks specifically about temperature and athletes?
You mean like Kansas City versus Miami?
No, like,
I mean, you're talking about Antarctica. What the fuck are we talking about?
You do a metadata study of saying, let's start tracking cold weather and hot weather games, whether it's football, baseball, soccer, whatever the case may be. You have a metadata study that speaks about the performance or not of athletes, but the experiences of fans to get a better, accurate representation instead of trying to draw parallels to things that you yourself say are unbalanced. So if they are unbalanced, then you need to find a data set that can be balanced.
Okay, well then you got me, CT. You got me. If we fly to the sun, that's more dangerous than chilling with Santa Claus in the North Pole. You got me.
Yeah,
because
that's the argument I made.
But we got two. But we got two. But we got two situations where we can test from that you could in the NFL world that you could consider extreme. One is the Kansas City game, and one is the Miami game.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Why are you bringing up Antarctica? That's not comparable.
Sense. You're right.
I brought up Antarctica because you brought up a study that says 90% of fucking temperature deaths are related to cold. You brought the fucking study up, not me. But what I said is, okay, that's a general fucking study. Does that contribute? What are the constraints of that variable? Are they talking about people climbing Mount Everest versus people hiking in the tropical rainforest? Those are not comparable subsets to an individualistic situation.
CT,
But you gotta
hold on. CT,
Sitting in the
what
stands.
you're talking about is like 100 degrees being the equivalent of like freezing, 32 degrees, right? Or even a little lower. And so the disparity going from, because 32 degrees is fucking cold, right? But minus 30, there's a 60-degree fucking difference there. You can't get to 160-degree Fahrenheit. So we get the disparity, but it's not practical. You're going to Kansas City to play a football game. You're going to Miami to play a football game. One's more dangerous than the other. You're trying.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, that's where the conversation ends.
Yeah, and the thing is, in Miami, that type of weather in September is pretty normal, right? You got temperatures in on the field, going over 100, 110, humidity close to 100%. In that type, and remember the elevation's a lot lower, it's near sea level, so you know what I mean, it's a lot warm, but that's the normal temperature. Here in Kansas City, that is record-breaking NFL weather, record-breaking temperatures, record-breaking wind chill, record-breaking
which is why I said that's one of the extremes. But to compare negative 30, and you're making my point for me, Amicus, to compare negative fucking 30 degrees to being 110 or 120 with full humidity in Miami, yes, that game was more dangerous and shouldn't have been played. My overall arching argument was, if you're going to fucking do a study or quote studies about what is more dangerous, whether it's cold or hot, yes, there's much more to the extreme cold than there is to hot.
Okay,
I can agree with that.
Then I agree with you. I agree with you, CT. 160-degree Fahrenheit, which there's no place to go and hang out and chill in that and watch a football game in that, right? Would be the equivalent of the extreme cold you're talking about. But it's not practical. So who gives a fuck?
I was just saying, listen, I was just saying that in Miami, that Buffalo game in week 3 was one of the hottest games on record, right? But I didn't hear at least myself, I didn't hear any reports about health concerns, people suffering from heat exhaustion, et cetera, et cetera. The news out of Miami, right? 70% or more that suffered from frostbite had to face amputation. I don't know if I'm getting the percentages correct, but something to that effect. So the whole thing, and all in all, to wrap this up, playing that type of weather, being as a fan in that type of weather, is a lot, in considering the facts the statistics that you brought up, is way more dangerous than what it was in week 3.
And CT, we're not denying that statistic is because of what you said. We're just saying you can't go and play a football game in 160-degree weather because it doesn't exist.
Right. No, and I agree. So my point was saying, in general, if you're arguing the dangers of cold versus hot in a general term, then I can agree with you. Yes, the extreme of cold is much more than the extreme of hot.
Right, because the extreme of cold is something that we can experience. The extreme of hot, there's a limit.
Hey, Amicus, look what Teron Armstead said. And that's a guy that grew up in Illinois, right? That gets really fucking cold and snowy and windy up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It says it felt like 90. Well, you guys could read it for yourself.
Yeah, it says it felt like negative 99. I'm from Illinois, so I've worked with snow. I've played in the snow. This was a historic day. In a bad way, it was bad.
Yeah. I'm telling you, and it kind of defeats of what we said. We're from Miami, right? We're supposed to be used to that weather. We went to that game, and that's a guy who grew up in that type of cold weather, and even for himself said that was bad. So.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to say, though, to y'all's point. Yeah, we can be used to 110, 120, real feel versus the extreme of 32, like Amicus said. But then you're negative 30, that's 60 fucking degrees. So they're not comparable. You can get used to 120. You can't get used to negative 30.
I get that. But from the NFL.
They can get used to like 10 to 20, 30 degrees. You can get used to that. 10 to 30 degrees, that's doable. But to say -30, that is not fucking doable.
Yeah, but like I am, according to what we have in the sample size, according to when you look at the NFL history in a historical context, right? In a scientific context, like that's what the NFL offers. That the coldest game, the Ice Bowl or the Kansas City game that we played in the wild card, compared to one of the hottest games, which is probably one of ours in week 3. That's the only sample size, if you're doing a scientific experiment, that that those are the data sets that they're providing to you, right?
Yeah, and it's difficult because even in that situation, you have much more cold weather teams, as in a la northern teams in the NFL, than you do southern teams. There's only maybe 5 or 6 NFL teams that have a subtropical climate versus every other fucking team either has a mid-moderate climate to a substantially cold climate. So you've got what? Jacksonville, Miami, Houston, maybe Atlanta, San Diego. Well, okay, they moved to Oakland, so I don't know. Or the Raiders moved to Oakland, so to Las Vegas. Sorry, I've never been to Vegas. I don't know how fucking hot it gets there. But you've got the Chargers and how. That's about it.
All right.
Yeah. But anyways,
that's 6.
Just to wrap it up,
6.
please listen to expert suggestions, people. Protect yourselves, man. Don't blame the fucking weather. Don't be an idiot. Have some personal responsibility. Bro. That's it. That's the whole lesson in this. But anyways,
read for an hour over that. But
Well, this is all Spidey's fault because you warned him not to fucking bring it up.
I did tell him not to fucking bring it up, and he fucking brought it up anyway.
I just brought it up.
That's funny.
But
no, hey,
anyway,
that's why I really, and I don't mean to sound like a fair weather fan, but that's why I don't go to the early games at home in Miami. I'm not going to a September game.
I just brought it up because people like to shit on Tua because of his lack of postseason success. Even
Amicus fucking muted him. Yeah, go ahead, Amicus or Spidey. You cut off on us.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
I was just saying that, the only reason why I brought it up was because, people always criticize Tua for a lack of postseason success, even though he's only played in one game and the sample size is really small. And in that game, he had to face the most extreme of circumstances, the most extreme cold weather game in a number of decades. You know what I mean? So is it fair for Tua? Not really. You know what I mean? You got to get, it's too small of a sample size. You're going to have to give him, another shot and see if he could, maybe learn from this game in a normal weather game. Maybe they take care of their business during the regular season and win the division or win enough games to host playoff games, whatever the case may be. And not be in those, sort of situations. Like, bro, I mean, at one point we were 9-3. We were top of the division. Buffalo was 6-6. Like, we didn't take care of business, right? We had the opportunity to get the number 1 seed. We failed in that. We got blown out by the fucking Ravens by 40-something points. We had the division. We had the opportunity to win the division at our own house, and we fucking choked in that fucking game. Yep. And not only that, we didn't take care of business. So because we didn't take care of business, and of course the Monday night collapse, a la Vic Fangio playing that fucking shitty prevent defense and all that. And offensively, we didn't do anything to help our defense out. We got what we deserved. We didn't take care of business. Well, we suffered. We suffered by falling to the 6th seed and playing in those conditions when we had no business to. You know what I mean? That's why I brought it. Well,
let me just put a bow on from my perspective on the weather thing.
Care of business.
I got one more thing. No problem. I got one more thing to say on the weather thing. You also have to, and I'm not trying to like get into another 1 hour debate over this, but I just want to
bad.
make
I'm sorry.
sure that it's understood, CT, that you know, because you mentioned the disparity, right? The 60 degrees or whatnot. But you also have to take into account, and this goes back to the accountability factor, that
That's crazy, bro.
in those disparities, you have the option to layer clothing and do all kinds of other things. With heat, you don't. You can't deflesh. You can't walk around and watch a football game naked. So you can only take off so many articles of clothes. So based on that, it does balance the scales a bit when it comes to that disparity of the cold versus the heat. You see what I'm saying?
I absolutely agree.
In
And
the
that's
heat,
where
you do
I
sweat.
feel like
Keep
in that
yourself cool.
aspect, but that's where I feel like in that aspect, that's why I feel like given the parameters, you got a 3-hour game, you know, maybe you get there an hour before, an hour after. So 5 hours of exposure. You can handle 5 hours of exposure to extreme cold if you layer up correctly and
Right,
you take the
exactly.
proper precautions. But if you have 5 hours of exposure to extreme heat, you can only do so much. And that's where I feel like, given the parameters, I feel like an extreme hot game would be more dangerous than a cold game for a fan, not a player.
Well, you're making my point, though. They didn't call the game in Miami, right? But you don't mention that. You only mention the fucking Kansas City game because your team lost.
No, I made that point. I made that point against the Bills. And I said earlier, if you're going to make that distinction, then you need to be consistent. And out of my mouth, go replay the fucking video during that hour-long ordeal. I sat there and said, then you should have played without fans in Miami and you should have played without fans in Kansas City.
Okay.
If you're going to make the distinction, be consistent. That's all I said.
I agree.
Yeah, but
that's
again,
all
like,
I
bro,
said.
The NFL did send a warning to its fans that if you're going to attend this game, which they recommend you do not, please wear heavy clothing. Do not expose any sort of skin or flesh to the outside environment. Please make sure you wear protective clothing and cover yourself completely. Some of the fans didn't listen, and you know, they have amputated fingers to show for it.
Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely. But my point is, to that, the only thing is why even give them the opportunity to go? You didn't give them the opportunity to go in Buffalo.
I get it.
Snow in the track. It's just being consistent, one way or the other. I don't give a fuck which way you go, but whatever way you go, be consistent. That's all I'm asking.
Say they canceled that game and pushed it back to Monday night when it was a little bit warmer or whenever, there would have been a shitload more KC fans in the stands. The place
I think CT's pissed. Hey, Bleezy, I just think CT's pissed because Buffalo got their fucking game moved because of lake effect snow and cold weather. But we had to play in that fucking extreme cold weather, which probably maybe should have not been played.
It does.
Yeah,
Hey, we still got our ass kicked.
I see where you're coming from.
Still got our ass kicked. And just to your point, Irvin, yep, we got our ass kicked the week before and the week before and the week before that too. So again, there is no excuse on that instance.
Right.
Am I pissed off? Yeah, because if you're gonna declare something, be consistent. That's all. That's it. Just be consistent. We already got our ass whooped. We fucked up our own shit. We lost. I don't give a fuck about that because I really don't think that whether they move the game or not, we were going to win that game. It doesn't matter. For me, the point was if you're going to deem something unsafe, be consistent.
But you're still mischaracterizing it, CT, for the last fucking time because they moved the game not because they were worried about fucking fingers falling off. It was a travel issue. It wasn't. They weren't saying we're canceling the game because you can't because you can't sit here and watch a game and we're afraid you'll get frostbite. That is not why they canceled it. They canceled it because of the travel.
No, they canceled it. They canceled it, and we have the fucking video of it. They canceled it because the fucking retarded Cajun Buffalo fans They were too busy riding the chutes that they were supposed to be shoveling snow out of. They were too busy fucking riding them like fucking slides on a playground.
No, that's a logistical issue. That why they couldn't play that game.
I know. I was just
I know. No, but I was just gonna tell Amicus that it was also a logistical issue because they just couldn't move enough snow in time and
that too.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It travel. The travel issues. People not. You know what I mean?
Unsafe travel. But what they weren't doing is they weren't saying it's unsafe for you to sit in this stadium. We're going to cancel it. Yeah. They weren't doing that. So it's not apples to apples, CT. You can't compare the two.
I can agree that it's not apples to apples. My argument is overarching in the fact that if you're going to deem one thing being unsafe, regardless of the reason why you're saying it's unsafe, for the NFL to come out and tell the NFL, you just read it, Irving, said, if you're going to go, we don't want you to go, but if you're going to go, well, if you're saying that you don't want people to go, you should have just said the teams will play, it'll be available on TV, we're not allowing fucking fans. That's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't say you don't want them to go. Well, if you're saying you don't want them to go, then just say it's not safe.
Yeah, are you one of those people that say everybody should get the vaccine because of the public health? I mean, like the public safety bullshit. Like, there's some accountability, man. Take some fucking accountability.
COVID bullshit.
I'm not going there. But anyways, but I can see where you guys are coming from, bro. But I see both of your points. They're both valid. You know what I mean? I get where you're coming from, CT. I mean, the NFL is kind of, I get it. It may seem inconsistent that they won't cancel one game, but the other game, they moved it. But when it comes to us, we had to play in that extreme weather. I get it. But again, that's not
it's a salty Dolphin fan.
Yeah, but that's not the facts. The facts are that. You know what I mean? Like the NFL did discourage fans from traveling, but they at the end of the day, they are paying customers. They're not gonna stop their paying customers from attending the game. All they could do is just send suggestions if they're going to attend the game. If they're going to attend the game, just make sure you protect yourselves. Right. However, if you compare it to what was happening in Buffalo during that game was suffering from huge lake effect snow. And when lake effect snow, bro, those storms dump a lot of heavy precipitation in a matter of short amount of time. So in the Kansas City game, there was no precipitation or a threat of a blizzard or something like that stopping fans from getting to that game, as opposed to Buffalo. You know what I mean? It was way too much precipitation. It was not enough time to dig all that precipitation out for teams to play comfortably, and the precipitation was just too heavy for fans to safely travel through the air or
I get it, and I understand it, whether it's the team or the fans. But then the thing is,
we didn't play in a blizzard.
But yeah, I agree. But you made another point. Did the NFL move it not only because they couldn't shovel it out and all the teams couldn't play, or was it that they wanted fans to be there so that their paying customers didn't get a refund? Oh shit!
You're reading too much into it. You're reading too much into it, CT. I don't know. Shit. You're reading too much into it. Like I said, one game was in extreme cold weather, but there was no precipitation.
I don't give a fuck. I'm just fucking with you, and I'm done with the argument. I'm just fucking with you. I'm done.
Yeah, because I'm smarter. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
CT, I have a question for you. Is it a public safety issue if you want to go and climb Mount Everest? Because like almost one out of 10 people die for attempting to climb Mount Everest. Like, who's on the hook for that one? It's not the NFL. It's that other three-letter organization. Who is it?
I'm just kidding, CT.
I agree. I'm the one that made this point. You're the one fucking.
I'm just giving you shit,
this is funny. This is what fucking losers do in arguments. Is they circle back and they use the person's original point, hoping that the fucking person doesn't. I'm the one that said you can't compare. You can't compare somebody climbing Mount Everest. They know what the fuck they're getting into, bro. People are fucking strewn dead all over the place, and nobody goes and gets them because nobody's fucking climbing up there to die them goddamn selves. The whole point is you can't compare knowing what you're getting into as far as I'm an experienced climber, mountain climber, whatever, versus a fucking stupid Cajun fan going to an NFL game. You can't compare those two. You can't.
Damn, we argued too much. We argued way too long about this. God damn it.
Me and Amicus go on because we know how to argue and we're good debaters. And then, you know,
good man. Yeah, you're well, never mind.
Yeah. Well, we're alphas and we don't take shit from nobody, and we'll fucking go back and forth until both of us are fucking right. And then we'll fucking keep arguing some more. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get on it. We've been over here 3 hours. For those of y'all watching Twitch, Twitter, X, all that.
Weather channel.
Wherever the fuck you're at, come on over to YouTube. Smash that like button, subscribe if you have, waddle on that notification bell.
Hey,
Amicus, final thoughts, brother.
It was fun, though. It was fun.
My final thought is that I think you underestimate the intelligence of mountain climbers from time to time.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
Under, or over?
Over. You overestimate.
They might be stupid. I mean, I don't know. They might be as dumb as fucking drunk redneck fans too. I don't know.
Well, I mean, just to assume that everybody that wants to climb Mount Everest understands the extreme, danger in it. I mean, listen, you're going to a fucking football game with minus 30-degree weather. Like, if you don't realize what you're getting yourself into, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But I agree. That's my final thought. Self-accountability, and let's exercise it, please.
Sure. Spidey, go for it.
What's that?
There you go.
That's my final thought.
All right, Bleezy, get it in, brother.
Yeah, nah, bro, it's all good, man. Wasn't that KC game the game that was on Peacock?
Yeah.
So maybe they wanted to have it where fucking nobody went to that game and everybody signed up.
Oh, that conspiracy. Here we go.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, boys.
Some money.
Maybe it was on Peacock and they wanted to give everybody the cock. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, you like Glory Hole cocks. Anyways, I was just gonna say, bro, the draft is 10 days away. I can't wait to see what we do at 21 and 55. There's a lot of talent. It's gonna be fun, bro. It's gonna be fun. We have I don't think we're gonna have so many good picks at our disposal. Chris Greer, this draft, especially in the first round, is fail safe, bro. Like it is way too tough for fucking Chris Greer to fuck up this draft pick. So
if he fucks it up, we can call for his head. I should say when he fucks it up.
I'll put some fire to his feet, man. I put some fire to his feet. I'll put him on the hot seat. Definitely put him in the hot seat. One day I'll go off on
a few years. Okay.
Hey, real quick, I think the Bills are a trade partner on draft day. I think there's a good possibility that y'all move back to 28.
Hey, Amicus. Are you hearing that Roma Dunze might drop? I heard somebody might mock. I heard somebody mock Brian Thomas earlier today on YouTube. Mock Brian Thomas to Buffalo, but Roma Dunze has been dropping though. That top 3.
I said that earlier, and then he said that I was retarded and that I didn't know what I was looking at. But
I'll say it again.
He's hearing the same shit I am, so.
Yeah.
So,
obviously,
but you think Buffalo would package? No, but I was just asking, what you think Buffalo would package? Put a little package together, trade up, and get Roma Dunze?
I think it's on the table for sure. I think it's on the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
but when I said it earlier that it wasn't going to happen because he's going top 10, so it wouldn't matter.
No, because I've been paying attention to the draft, and I've heard Brian Thomas might be the third best receiver in this draft class. That Rome Odunze is slipping. I don't think that Rome Odunze is going to slip. I still think he's going to be the third receiver taken. I think he's going to be taken before the top 15.
He'll be taken top 10.
Yeah,
he'll be gone by number 7.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, yeah, for sure.
All right,
boys.
appreciate it, fellas.
Yeah. I'll ask you a question. I gotta ask you a question, Bleezy, backstage. So.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. I'm gonna go ahead and end it right now. Peace.
Hey, my bad. I walked through, but everybody got their final thoughts.
Yep. I already said mine.
Hey, we're here every fucking Monday, 8:30. Hit that notification bell. We do shows throughout the week, impromptu. Yeah, man, we got a lot of shit going on. We talked about Jalen Phillips update. We saw Tua walking in. Voluntary workouts phase 1 started today. Getting it in. The season is kicking off. The draft is just around the corner. So much shit to do, so much shit to say, so many things are going to happen shortly. And we'll have a crap ton to talk about. We'll see y'all on the next one. We're going to leave you with our favorite. As always, peace.
Mount Everest.
Peace.